เดี๋ยวนะรูเลอร์เมื่อกี้แปลงฟันด้วยเหรอนึกว่าอาร์ทอยแฟน Gen.G อย่างพี่มาตรงเวลาพอดีเลยนะครับ
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the road to MSI here for round 4. No one is going to be stamping a ticket to MSI today, but one team will be going home out of KT and Gen.G. As we heard in the pre-show, everyone trying their very best to tiptoe around getting an E word. And that is a very difficult thing to do and something that we're going to have to also do here today, Ox.
All the global side predicted 3 over Gen.G.
Do you know what? So
minimal excitement.
Is Pony the biggest Gen.G fan of all time?
I think that's the only indicator we can actually take away from them.
That's what I think it is too, because that response, and hi everyone, that response from Digon, that Digon got from Pony is very suspect. It's hard to explain means you didn't correctly predict.
It's hard to explain. That is such a...
Just the whole point of a prediction is that you can explain it.
You know what? I'm putting that into my repertoire. I'm going to use that more often. You ask me a question in game, you're like, they're 10,000 gold down. How are they winning fights? It's hard to explain.
You know what? I need that to be your comment. After this series, no matter who wins, you need to vote for someone that doesn't make sense and just say it's hard to explain. That would be perfect. Having a look here at the fan prediction, you can see obviously Gen.G with a little bit more, but a fair bit extra faith from the KT fans coming over from X.
Although, if we're talking about, okay, that's a lot more severe.
Yeah.
But maybe the KT fans doing some of the voting against themselves.
Maybe some of the Gen.G fans as well getting on in there. Let's have a look at it one more time.
Yeah.
Wait for it. There it is. 3-2 as well. And so we're going to be holding on to this. If Gen.G are up 2-0 in this series, Pony's like, I've got him exactly where I want him. You know? Like, oh my goodness. Look, is he explaining?
He's saying a lot more there.
Oh, he is.
He's saying a lot more that it's hard to explain.
So we're going to need full translation, and I will read it out if there is ever a lull in today's series, maybe because we need to know.
Maybe the full sentence was it's hard to explain in English.
Yeah, maybe he just said it's hard to explain multiple times in Korean. And then Kasujun was like, no, you're going to have to try more. And then he just said it more.
Or maybe he just didn't want to speak to Digon and wanted to do it. Also,
honestly, that's valid as well. Man, I'm really excited for this series. Mainly excited for Gen.G, and I am just there for KT, right? Because we're not allowed to be E-word when it comes to KT. I've said the word a couple of times. Probably shouldn't. But I'm worried. Yeah, I am worried because when it comes to setting expectations, KT have done actually the best possible job at making themselves look as weak as possible. And that is where they thrive. And now it is time for us to welcome the teams. To Wonju here. As of course, KT and Gen.G not been on this stage just yet. T1 waiting in the final tomorrow. We'll see who they are going to be competing against. As first up, Keen is going to make his way out. An absolute monster of the top lane.
Absolutely such a wide champion pool capable of playing so many styles so well. But perfect on the other side, a player who has stepped up massively for KT. So much of their success this season has been down to this player.
And his name went from ironic to accurate over this year. That's what it feels like. This man has been incredible.
So many times taking matchups where he's looking to take over the lane, playing things like the Vayne, and just being an absolute menace. So I'm excited for this top lane matchup, which is not something I expected him saying last year.
Oh no.
But Perfect has massively stepped up his game and really reaching the potential we'd hope he could eventually hit.
And Keen had a bit of a slower start, but
ผล
has
ที่วันเมื่อวาน
definitely
เป็นไง
made
บ้าง
it
ครับ
back to some semblance of his
ล
former
ง
glory.
มาสายล่างครับ
It's
ผม
just so weird talking about a Gen.G that didn't come out of the gates absolutely swinging to the fences. We now have our top laners in position. I don't know, Ox. I don't know whether this is going to be once again one of those tales of Perfect just being the guy in the top lane, the absolute rock, and being able to take things over the line for KT like they were able to do against D+ Kia, with Shio actually performing pretty well. But it's going to come down, I think, to these two gentlemen that are about to make their way out, starting with Canyon here on Gen.G's side. He's been pretty good. This round robin especially.
Absolutely has been a player who so many junglers say is their favorite jungler, player with such a huge legacy. Got up against Cuz, who was a massive driving force in KT's upsets last year against Gen.G, taking them to the World Finals, that big voice on the team that they needed in those big moments.
And he's going to need to be that again, because I have a feeling that KT might need a little bit of extra enthusiasm moving towards this series, because Gen.G are looking incredibly formidable.
Good use of different E word there.
Yeah, it still started with E, which was problematic. I was like, what's the simile?
It felt like he just swerved it a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I think I still basically hit the pothole, but I did move the steering wheel, which is, it's just making the car ride even worse. Let's be honest. But these two gentlemen are going to have their work cut out for them, I think, today. As junglers, I think, have been really under a microscope, especially on this patch. And these two might be able to make it a little bit easier for them. Chovy versus BDD, of course, both of them formerly the star players of Gen.G themselves. BDD now moving over, but Chovy really coming into his own towards this end of the season.
This matchup was just so often a treat to watch. Before last year, these two mid laners go head-to-head in some massive matches. And I can't wait to see what we get on the Rift, especially when these two teams have had a good amount of time to prep. They're going to bring out things like BD, Zoe, absolute classic, but will we get something new, something different, especially with it being a best of 5, especially with it being fearless. Both these mid laners, absolute titans of the league.
Yep, and we also know that Chovy is known to get into the kitchen as well with a few of his picks, so we'll see whether he dusts off something from the past or whether he does have something new planned for that mid lane, because we have seen, you know, the Lissandra came out yesterday. We've had some new things brewing around the league, and this is going to be a fresh take, right? These are two fresh teams. We'll see what their idea of the draft is going to look like and whether we do get to some of those more interesting picks further down the line in games perhaps 3, 4, or 5. If we get to 5, man, I'm going to be talking to Pony. I'm like, if it's that hard to explain, how did you know?
Yeah.
You know? That's what I'm going to be trying to figure out. We keep going back to it, but I can't get it out of my mind.
Sharing his secrets in this situation.
He's going to have to afterwards. I'm going to grill him, 100%. As Ruler and aiming to make their way out. Ruler first, of course, has been pretty good, you could say.
ถ้าวันไหนไม่อยากแตะมือให้คนดูแตะพุงแทนนะแม่พี่เดียว ถ้าฟอร์มแบบเมื่อวานทั้งคู่ทั้งโค้ชเจอใครก็เหนื่อยจริง
Playing those majors, practicing getting up to speed and widening the pool. And on the other side is the Gold King aiming. Big factor in that matchup against D+, able to
เอาจริงมันเหมือนปีที่แล้วเลยตอนที่เคลียร์ฮาวาไลตกรอบแล้วไปไม่ใส่อะที่วันทำแบบว่าคือฮาวาไลฟอร์มดีมากและที่วันดูแบบดูจะฟอร์มไม่ดีอะแต่พอมาเจอปุ๊บที่วันชนะ 3-0 มันเป็นแบบนี้เลย
And we'll see whether he can do it again, as I think that it's been the way that they managed to stabilize after like catastrophic early games that has been very impressive for KT, but it also has been a worry at the same time.
เดี๋ยวไม่แตะมือแล้วโดนปรับไงแต่พุงแทนโอ้ LCK เกาหลีเขาไม่ค่อยทำงั้นนะไม่เคยเห็นเลย
four games in a row against KT and still get eliminated from the tournament, and that is because you have to destroy the nexus. That's the most important part. And KT do manage to do that by getting behind aiming. These supports, though, we did hear them in the intro, which was very, very fun. Effort and Duro with some choice words for one another. But I think Duro has been absolutely incredible. But we do know, like, we saw this yesterday out of Delight, bringing back the engaged supports. Duro was that guy.
He absolutely was. And I think we're seeing, even though we're getting a lot less of those range supports, The 2v2 still so important in bot lane, but we're seeing more melee support. Those engages were so important down to those support players yesterday. And effort, this new addition that came into KT and seemingly fixed so many of the problems after the LCK Cup.
Yeah.
A miracle worker, given the state they started the year in, and looking to continue that momentum and see if they can go just that bit further and make it to MSI.
See whether they can do it. It would be pretty unbelievable. But they have done it in this position before, right?
แต่ดูทรงแล้วเหมือน Gen.G น่าจะเข้าไปเจอทีวันแน่เลย
When was the
ว่ะ
last time this happened?
Oh my god.
Yeah. And it was this exact matchup. I remember it was my last
ส
commentary
วัสดีครับ
with
พี่กิ๊กวันนี้
Chronicler.
พี่เชีย
Do
ร์
you
ทีม
remember
ไหน
that
ครับ
guy?
เชียร์ดี
He
ๆ
was
นะ
here
ครับ
last
I
year.
try not to.
เชียร์
All
พลาด
right,
ทีหนึ่ง
well,
โดนตบไม่ได้
that
ไป
was the
MSI
last
นะ
one.
ครั
Now
บ
we're going to be doing it again. It's not going to be our last broadcast together, Orcs. We're going to be on the desk together tomorrow.
I was a little worried.
Yeah, so we're not saying goodbye.
เครียดว่ะ
It's not happening again. Gen.G versus KT, that's what's happening again, and we'll see whether it is going to be a success as two former KT players are the coaches for both of these teams as well, as Ryu and Score going to fist bump and get ready to provide us with some outstanding drafts. Now, Orcs, I have a bit of an axe to grind. Didn't like a lot of the drafting from yesterday. Thought it was weird and strange.
Well,
Is today going to be the same?
I hope not. I feel like one team came with some good preparations yesterday and demonstrated it in the
มา
draft. I think the other team
คุณ
was
ผู้ชม
struggling a bit.
พรุ่งนี้จะเป็นอย่างไรครับ
We'll see what
มา
comes
แล้ว
today
ฮะ
because there's a lot of factors at play here. It's been 2 weeks since we've seen these teams play. It's a new
แน่นอนว่า
patch, and we haven't had a ton of
แพทริออนเป็น
material
ตัว
in the LCK on this
ที่
new patch.
Gen.G กับ KT เล่นบ่อยสุดครับ
Just these few best of fives.
เคิร์สนี่
and as a
เล่นไป
result,
9 ครับ
not
แคน
all
ยอ
of
น
our
เล่นไป
teams have
6
fully fleshed out or tested everything out. We've seen things
แต่แคน
start
ยอน
to
มีดาบที่แบบ
emerge a bit more.
ที่หมื่นเขาไม่มีกันนะก็คือไอตัวสกาเนอร์
melee supports and seeing how they're playing out, but also best of fives with Fearless particularly are a different ball game. So the expectation is we will see deeper pools, more picks regardless.
I am a little bit worried though for Effort because I do feel like his Enchanter play has been fantastic this season. I think that's why they were on such a tear in the first round robin. And
เอามาเจอ
even
แพนดิอ
though
อน
his
นี่แหละ
most played champions have been engaged supports over his career, the win rates aren't necessarily all that hot, right? And I think that his huge resurgence had a lot to do with him facilitating the rest of the team and not necessarily being the one to make those big plays. I remember that moment where, you know, Effort is trying to go for plays and it doesn't quite work when he's playing the more engaged style. But let's see whether he can tighten that one up and maybe, you know, transition what was so successful in that more Enchanter meta into something that KT can work with here and now.
I think jungle support pairing going to be really important.
Yeah.
How they work together as a team. That's something that KT was doing really well. But especially if you're playing more of these engaged supports and less of the enchanters, it's going to be more about how you set up your jungler. The grub's value that's gone up a decent amount also makes that an objective more supports are wanting to play towards. So we'll see the read that both these teams have coming into this series and if things have adjusted and by how much.
Well, it is now time, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they're fighting for. The one last ticket to Daejeon. And all well, once they've gotten through T1, either team going to be facing them. Could be a telecom war or could be the Gen.G T1 El Clasico. We have no bad options when it comes to the final here for the road to MSI. As Varus going to be taken away first as we jump into the draft. And Cassio also going to be leaving. I think Cassio is an interesting ban. I do feel like she has had some answers, but I think if you're going to take her away, the Orianna probably needs to be removed as well.
Cassio's been on a constant lose streak to the point it's just dropped out the meta in the LPL, which is very funny considering how it's still super high prior here. So definitely not a champion, definitely a champion that doesn't have its weaknesses. That does have its weaknesses.
That's what I thought you meant.
Yeah, that's what I did mean.
วันที่วันแบบได้เลือกเอสเรียลขามาด้วยแต่เจอซิกแล้วก็เจสที่รวยมากๆไม่ไหวสู้ไม่ได้
Gen.G, are you just going to ban the Rise? KT are telegraphing it, or are you going
เอาจริงป่ะ
trade in
เมื่อ
this
วานอ่ะ
situation?
T1 อ่ะแม่งเกือบ
Governor Rise feels like the options here.
คือเกมแรกอ่ะมันเกือบชนะใช่ป่ะคือเกือบเลยแบบกำลังชนะแล้วอ่ะกำลังดีแล้วอ่ะแล้วแม่งก็แตกพ่าย
Instead it is going to be the Jarvan taken away.
และเกม2มันชนะเว้ยจริงเมื่อวานถ้าเกิดเกมแรกมันชนะก็คือเกม2มันก็จะ
And I think BDD's rise has been pretty
ชนะด้วยมันก็เป็น3-2-0แล้วไง
so much pressure in games when he's been on this
มัน
pitch.
นึกก็คือถ้าเกิดเกมแรกมันชนะนั้นน่าจะ
The response, there's the rumble available, which they can definitely.
แต่ว่าดาร์ฟมันก็จะเปลี่ยนอะไรมันก็จะเปลี่ยน
They can look to secure pieces of the bot lane. In terms of matching the
หลังจากนั้นเกม3เกม4ก็หลุดโลกไปเลย
the typical counter picks that we often see are gone, but there's still like the Talia we've seen run into it reasonably often. There's also things like
Ezreal Karma ครับ Gen.G ไม่พลาดครับ แต่เมื่อวานทีวันโดนไปแล้วนะ
Karma's been slipping through drafts a good
เนี่ย
amount,
ก็เลือก
but
เจส
Ezreal
กับ
Karma
ซิกอะไรอย่างงี้
is
ป่ะ
less common.
Yeah.
Normally
โอ้ย
teams denying
นี่
one of
มัน
those
ดาร์ฟ
pieces. Jace is gonna come
นี่มันดาร์ฟ
through
ฮาวาไลท์เลยครับผมนี่
and then the Zig
ฮาวาไลท์ดาร์ฟแบบนี้เลย
reminiscent
ไลท์เจสซิก อันนี้ทีวันดาร์ฟ Ezreal Karma
HLE game 1 which had
อันนี้
Rise
ถ้าเป็น
Jace
NVL
and
โดนแบน
Ziggs in it.
And it
เฮ้ย
was into
ไซออน
Ezreal Karma
คุณผู้ชม
Yeah, this is actually
นี่มันทีวันดาร์ฟแต่อยู่ฝั่งของ Gen.G ลูกพี่จะเล่นให้ดูครับผมแล้วฮาวาไลท์ดาร์ฟครับ อยู่ของฝั่ง
I think the
KT
ordering was a bit different, but
I also really didn't like the Scion in that instance. I just felt like T1 didn't have a lot of damage. It's not going to be the same
ลูก
draft
พี่จะเล่นให้
because
ดู
the
แบบ
Nivea
ให้
was in
น้
the
อง
mid
ๆดู
lane. In that one, Nivea's been banned away this time around. But I'm a little bit worried for Gen.G unless they really change things up when it comes to the jungle and mid lane. I want to see Canyon on something that does some damage.
yeah. And I think in this situation, one of the issues that T1 really had in the HLE was engaging onto and getting onto these backliners when they had, you know, the Karma,
Ban Chando
they had a Jarvan in that situation, which is obviously banned. And
เป็น
Gen.G
นี่บท
here
เรียน
banning
รู้
away
จาก
the
เมื่อวานนะ
jungle
ว่า
for
พอ
Na'Vi
ทันโด
play
มันมา
yesterday
Yeah.
into the
จัด
Sion
การ
had so
ไซ
much
ออน
great
แล้วไซออน
success.
มันเล่นไม่ออก
Keen's gonna have a much better time than
เจส
Doran
เลยได้
yesterday
priority แบบ
in this situation.
ได้เลนแบบ
By
ช้ำ
taking out KT hammering away at those engaged champions in the jungle.
A pretty smart move. I think this Fury value
ๆว่าแต่วันนี้พี่ไม่
is
ใส่เสื้อ
feeling
Gen.G อ่ะ
relatively high here for Gen.G as well, given the fact that you do have that meatball in the top lane.
เชียร์เยอะ
to
ไม่
rely
ได้
on.
เดี๋ยวพรุ่งนี้อาจจะต้องเจอ
Canyon
ดิ
can be doing a little bit more of that damage. See what they do decide to go with those. The Nautilus is going to be taken away from Effort, definitely one of his favorite champions.
There's still things like the Nocturne, the Lee Sin, the Wukong in the jungle. I feel like in terms of providing the engage, you're definitely looking more like Wukong or Nocturne. But the Lee Sin we've seen paired pretty well with even something like an Annie Lee Sin, pretty strong.
Twitter Fate
What Gen.G
พี่ว่า
want to go
โช
toward
วี่
in this situation. Obviously, they know the solo lane matchup as of now, and they really want something that can be able to lead
หรือว่า
the close the distance on these longer
เมล
range
ส
poke
กลาง
champions.
ได้ปะวะ
And you are going to be playing through bot with this composition, so something that can set the pace early
นั่นไง
will go a long way. They're starting off
เมล
with
กลางจริงด้วย
Mel
Interesting.
here for Chovy.
I actually kind of
เอามาต่อต้านการโปรที่เมื่อวานทีวันโดนไปครับพี่ก็คิดเหมือนกันว่าถ้ามันเป็นเมลจะเป็นไงวะ เมื่อวานอะ
As we get later and later into this series, I know I'm looking a lot further forward than
เพ
I
ราะว่าเว
really
ลามัน
need
โดน
to.
โปรก็จะแบบโปร
This
กลับ
Mel
อะไรอ
could
ย่างงี้
really start
แล้ว
hamstringing
อย่างไว
some of
เป็น
the
คามิล
options
กับ
here as
ลีซิง
Aiming
ครับ
locks away the Camille, and there is Cuz's Lee Sin.
Look, I
And
don't
so
want
this is basically the same draft.
It's the Lee Sin for the Trundle.
Kenyon
The
แบบ
Trundle was banned, but yeah, they just
บอกว่ามั่น
basically
ใจครับ
copied HLE game 1
เฉา
draft in this situation. But hey, it worked for them, so why not? Gen.G considering the Xin Zhao, which, you know, is a pretty strong pick, especially paired with the Karma Shields, but in terms of closing the distance, you don't have the best tools to get onto these squishy targets.
พี่ทำวิเคราะห์ดราฟทีวันหมายว่าเมื่อวานเดี๋ยวถ้าทีวัน
You have, you know, the
จบ
rebuttal
ผล
from
ยังไง
the
เดี๋ยวค่อย
Mel,
ทำครับ พ
blocks
รุ่ง
and
นี้
poke,
อีกรอบ
gives shields.
ก็
You
น่า
have the
น่า
Xin
ทำอยู่นะ
Zhao, can obviously pop that ultimate. Playing through the front to back for Gen.G is definitely viable, but they have to be able to reach these targets, and if KT just pokes them down from distance, it can be a little bit tricky. But I think no Trundle for KT is really
ชู
going to
วี
make
เล่
it
น
so
เมล
different
ไป3ครั้ง
from
ใน
the
ราว
game that we
1-2
had yesterday, because
ชนะ 100% นะครับ แล้วก็ KDA 9.2 ครับ
he couldn't operate.
เฉลี่ย
And also, I think the Mel throws a little bit of a spanner in the works as well. I feel like Chovy will have a lot of agency to
9.2
get
เยอะ
work
มาก
done
นะ
on this champion as well. I think the rebuttal could certainly get a lot of value as well with Shock Blast being
Value
fired
คือ
around left, right,
จ
and
ริงๆคือ
center.
9 เท่า
Some slight deviations from what we saw in game number 1 yesterday, but a very similar outlook
คือ
as
ตาย
far
หนึ่
as
ง
this
ตัวจะ
draft is
สามารถทำประโยช
concerned.
น์ได้แบบ
That time around, it was a barn burner in that first game. T1 almost made it back, then
เยอะมาก
HLE managed to win it in the end.
แต่
But we'll
ต
see
ก
whether
ใจ
it is
KDA
going to
ของ
be a
โชวี
repeat
ที่
of
เล่น
that
ไล
or
ฟ์
whether it's going to be something else. But it is kind of cute that we do have
ทำไม
that
KDA
extra
มัน
tape from
25 เลยวะ
yesterday
เล่นไป
to
5 เกม
compare how these very similar drafts are going to function
โชวีเล่นไป5 เกม KDA 25
between Gen.G and KT because so many of us do believe that Gen.G should have a large advantage just based on the nameplates going into this series and the form of KT over the last few weeks. Not at the beginning of the season. If that was the KT we're looking at now, maybe it'd be a different story. But let's get onto the Rift for game one.
Oh, บางเกมแก KDA แบบแกไม่ตายเลยอะไรเงี้ย
Alright, here we are, ladies and gentlemen.
มาครับผม
Onto the Rift for the first game
เกม
of
แรก
this
ฮะ
best of 5. Winner
ด้วย
will be
สภาพคือ
facing
จอ
off
ดับ
against T1 tomorrow, and the loser will be going home. No tickets to Daejeon unless they come as spectators, but they probably want to scrim.
ใครแพ้ตกรอบนะอันนี้มันไม่ได้มีสายล่างครับอันนี้คืออยู่สายล่างอยู่แล้ว
But no rest just yet. It is all about seeing whether they can take game one. And already, I mean, aiming and effort should be having a decent amount of fun here in this lane if they can just stand back and avoid Duro and Rula.
Yeah, we've sometimes seen this lane with the Camille into things like the Ezreal Karma. If you play super aggressive around your Ignite early, even level 1, can have some pressure. And Rula's gone for TP.
พรุ่งนี้ถ้าทีวันแข่งไม่แขวนรูปทอมได้ไหมคะจ้าง500รับค่าจ้างครับเดี๋ยวพรุ่งนี้จะไม่แขวนครับ500 บาทสบายมากเลยครับ
There's good time to go for
เป็น
it
ล้างเหรอครับ
they hit level 2 even though they're still losing in terms of prio they managed to get that poke down and we are getting some cross map jungling coming out here split map Canyon over here and this is very dangerous for Perfect who's pushing the wave in really wants this one to crash and bounce away so you can get to a safer position.
You can see Canyon nowhere in sight just yet, but certainly some opportunities here as Effort is roaming up, looking for a gank towards Chovy here. Canyon also posturing for maybe a punish towards Perfect.
Just saw a bunch of pings come out, basically saying that Canyon he's going to path up towards here. We did see a ping though from Gen.G where the ward is. They know exactly where Perfect's ward is. If he walks up to the ward, he could just die. But he plays back in the brush. They don't know his position, and Canyon doesn't want to waste more time. So Perfect doing a good job of evading that gank could have been potentially very dire.
And aiming actually the benefactor of this roam from Effort up to level 3 now, and I think it's kind of cute, sort of funneling extra experience onto a mage. Give that little bit of an advantage. We see often that Camille are sitting around at relatively low levels for a lot of these games, but I think it does benefit the Ziggs quite a lot.
I mean, that's one of the things with mages. It's true for Ezreal as well, because he's a very magey AD carry, but Ziggs gets so much power from points of his abilities, as most mages do. So him being level 4, having a second point in his Q gives a lot of power. Well, I mean, he should have put a second point in his Q already, but level 5, he had a third point. Feels good.
Well, right now, everything very even. About 100 gold in it between the two, as we're going to have a look at the counter jungling time. Cuz doing a little bit more, but you can see the vertical jungling is the result of this. Cuz does spot Canyon moving in. Flash out from Chovy there as Effort going on forward.
ไม่งั้นเจอ BDD ถ้าโดนตันเมื่อกี้ BDD น่าจะแฟดแล้วก็ล็อกขาด้วยอะไรเงี้ยตาย
Flash from Chovy there, able to get away from Effort. I think a lot of times if you know the target.
เฮ้ยไซออนมัน
It's like it's kind of a game of chicken. It's like can I catch you off
อย่างนี้ perfect ไม่ดีนะเพราะว่าอย่างที่บอกไปคือเจสมันต้องได้เพจอะแล้วข้างบนเจสเลือดข้างบนงัดกันแล้วข้างบนงัดแล้วฮัลโหลกล้อง
But Chovy getting out and trading summoners best of a tricky situation.
Yep. And teleport going to be used from Chovy to get back into the mid lane. BDD doesn't have that luxury as he's taken the ghost as most of our rises do.
ซื้ออะไรชิ้นแรกคินรองเท้าหรือว่าจะเป็นแบบ Warden Mills โชวี่ไม่มีแฟลชแล้วแบบนี้มานะมาแน่แม่จ๋าจะล็อกขาล็อกได้ครับโชวี่ตายตายปะโชวี่ได้ฆ่าด้วยดูโลโชวี่ไม่ได้ฆ่าครับ
Yes, so Effort was trying to
a flash forward from BDD as well as he looks for the extra damage. Cuz with the tempest, the Q misses, and Duro's able to walk it off, but without anything left in the tank.
And so low, so close to going down there, ends up being a
แต่ว่า
1-for-1
เหมือนไม่รู้กันกับเคิร์สเมื่อกี้
KT the ones who end up getting kills onto the
คิน
carries.
ตัดสินใจซื้อว่าเป็นไอเชนเวสนะ
Canyon just farming
เพื่
the
อขับรถลง
meantime. Oh,
ช
level
น
6
ว่ะ
hit.
Yeah, Train is going to go past perfect here as Effort now moving towards the top side. He's everywhere this game. Gets the stun from the hookshot. Canyon making his move towards this top side. And Keen will be able to get away with the help of his jungler.
Yeah, so Keen trying to find an aggressive angle. We've seen him have a lot of success in these Sion vs Jace matchups. But with Effort there, ends up losing out in the extended trade. Canyon is in position to bail him out.
คามิวไปทุกที่ว่ะมันต้องเล่นอย่างนี้สินะแล้วใครซิกอยู่ล่างก็คล้ายๆไปแหละมั้ง
And he is going to be going back now. See whether he does head back down towards that bottom side. But I have a feeling that he is just going to continue roaming everywhere else on the map. Aiming very happy here in this bottom lane. Just teleported back down there. Ruler is going to answer. And Cuz clearing out vision where he can, looking for a crowd now as well. Level 6 will be his.
แบบยาวๆเลย
We're going to have a look at this play one more time.
In this moment, I think Effort was trying to wait out the rebuttal. Actually, no. Yeah, he was just rooted for too long. In fact, when he went for the... I thought he was trying to wait out the rebuttal, but he was just rooted, couldn't recast it. And as a result, ended up taking a ton of tower hits. So good play from Chovy there to counteract it. Read the target who get tower aggro first very well.
Yep.
To make it 1-for-1.
Now KT
มังกร
starting
ไฟ
off this dragon. We do have
แอฟฟอร์ดเขาไม่ไปเอา
in the area, but there is a
ส
lot of
แต็ก
vision
ซับ
here
เลยเหรอ
from KT.
มาแล้ว
Information advantage
หนึ่ง
should be theirs. Decent little snare here onto Effort though.
ได้แค่หนึ่งว่ะ
Not really going to be doing too much of anything at all. And Cuz halfway through this dragon so far,
KT
and aiming with
ดุเนี่ย
full
คุณผู้ช
control
ม
of this bottom lane right now, I think that means KT should be able to take this without too much of a response from Gen.G.
Pretty easy pickup in this situation. And honestly, all things considered, bot lane going super well for KT. The fact you're playing into Ezreal, Karma, and your Ziggs has a CS lead feels fantastic.
ไซออนดูชิลจัดเลยอะ
He was playing range plus melee, but realistically, he's just been playing singular range. Most of the laning
เลือด
phase
เต็มตลอดอะ
hasn't been there.
Yep. And Duro is needed to match him as well. And so that takes away a lot of the power of that duo there towards that bottom side. I think KT
เจอ KT ดีกว่าเจอ Gen.G จริงไหมครับ
the Ezreal Karma maybe isn't as dangerous as it could otherwise be, especially in a first game when you have all of these extra options like the ones that Life Esports showed us yesterday in this Ziggs and Camille.
Yeah, if you survive the lane and Karma's been nerfed a good amount, a lot of itemization has been toned down in terms of the Dream Maker, Exopelia has been toned down as well. A lot of nerfs on this patch to make her weaker in the late game. And when you have a Camille as well, all you have to do is just jump on one of the two
น่ากลัวทั้ง
carries
คู่
on
อะ
Gen.G,
มานั่งนึกแล้วอะ
press ult, and then have follow-up. And you trade your life for either Ruler or Chovy, and your job is done.
Yeah.
So it's a huge amount of value when you're playing into a two-carry composition like this. And if you get out of the lane uncontested,
CS ได้ไปเพจหนึ่ง
feeling fantastic in this game.
แต่ว่ามันไม่เหงาจริงนะคือคีนแกแบบว่าอย่างน้อยมันก็มีป่าแวะมาบ้างอะแวะมาปักหวาดอะไรบ้างอะมันก็พอเล่นได้อะเนาะแต่ว่าอันนี้ก็เล่นสายบนกันหมดอะข้างล่างปล่อย ADC 2 คนแล้วก็เล่นกันไปแบบไม่ต้องไปช่วยต้องอะไร
Okay, so Gen.G trying to move into position to contest this. One growth secured already.
Yeah, that's the first one. Safeguard available here for Cuz onto Effort over this wall, and will be able to use that to get himself out of there. Keen at about half health, and Perfect continuing to soften him up, and it looks like KT wanting to go for something, although that Sonic Wave misses, and therefore they just get themselves out. So 2-1, grub advantage over to Gen.G.
Yeah, they're just taking away some jungle camps here, moving down
Ruler
on the map.
กำลังจะโดนหรือเปล่า
So much pressure on a Ruler. He hit a bouncing bomb in an earlier.
ใช้จังหวะที่แบบฝั่งนู้นแบบว่าเอากลับแล้วก็ต้องรีเซ็ตอะไรเงี้ย
Could just kick him into the wall here as he arcane shifts, gets himself out of the way. Decent little Q, but doesn't want to dive in a turret right now.
Save the flash, so feeling pretty good in that situation.
Oh no, Mega Inferno Bomb comes through, and that interrupts the back.
ให้โลไม่พอ
He's going to be out of lane for a decent amount of time. Ziggs getting tower access early feels very good.
Yeah, already 2 plates
พอเห็นแบบนี้รู้สึกว่าซิกแม่งโกงไงไม่รู้
And this Ziggs is an absolute win condition, and I am joined by the perfect person to tell us about that. As Fox knows, Ziggs pretty good. At every part of the game, are we going to say?
แบบนี้ถือว่าแบบว่าคนบาปปะเล่นซิกเลนล่างอะถ้าเป็นเลนบนก็จะเป็น AD แบบตีไกลเลนล่างเป็น AP ตีแบบเนี้ยโยนโป๊กเนี้ยเลนบาปปะถือว่าบาปปะไม่บาปด้วยเหรอมันมีเงื่อนไขเยอะอยู่กันนะเนี่ย
Maybe not going to be building a Leandry this game.
Well, it doesn't look like it with him going. Ludens, I believe in the game yesterday, specifically into this bulkier comp, Gumushi when Blackfire torn.
That's a cute one.
โอ้โอ้
As
โอ้
Aram
โอ้
got a bit of a
แคน
rumble
ยอน
here towards his top side.
โอ้โห
Keen is
มา
going
เย
to
อะจัด
flash away. Effort gets over the wall though as Canyon moves in. When becomes Lightning isn't going to connect as Cuz having to safeguard over because the Sonic Wave went wide, and so no one going to be dying in that little exchange. And we do have Perfect able to move back towards the top side. Keen now with no flash.
ก็เลย KT เงินนำอยู่
Able to get
800 ค
away
รับ
from that situation, but one big difference in this game compared to yesterday's game is yesterday's game that Jace was mega fed, and in this one, Perfect doesn't have that much of a significant lead over Keen right now. On the back of that last play, he managed
ได้
to
ไปอีกเพจ
get
ครับ Perfect
a bit of tower damage. He has got a bit of a goal lead, 300, but you know
เมื่อ
that
วาน
game
มัน
yesterday was a
สถิติ
humongous
ของ
lead,
ซูด
and the
คือ
Jace being so strong
21 นาที
was
3 ชิ้น
a
มั้ง
big factor. You also don't have the Trundle to cause all those problems for the Scion and turn him into paper if he goes too aggressive. So I think Keen is going to feel a lot better than Doran did and be a lot harder to deal with in this game, which does put a lot of pressure onto KT to get access to the squishier targets or just
จริงเมื่อวานนะพี่ว่าถ้าไม่ติดอะไรพี่ว่าน่าเลือกสโมเดอร์เนอะคือสโมเดอร์มาเลนกลางหรือว่าแบบคอกี้เลนกลางได้ป่าวไม่ได้หรอ
This trio so good at setting up and just taking out targets.
Oh, Cuz maybe going a little bit too
โอ้เรา
aggressive
ขาดไม่
here
โดน
as
โช
he's not
วี่
going to get snared by Chovy, able to safeguard his way out. And even though the 3-talon strike connected, he was already halfway out of there. So Cuz going to be all right. Looked a little bit aggressive as another Mega Inferno Bomb just to be annoying.
มังกรลมเกิดแล้ว
And Canyon's going to keep channeling his recall here. Wants to go back in this situation, and a big factor is he hasn't completed his item. So Cuz a lot stronger than him right now with the Sundered Sky. Canyon goes back and gets his, but it means he's not on the map. He's not in position to contest this dragon.
พูดแต่Gen.Gปล่อย2มังกรแล้วเนี่ย
Could be a big
เพราะว่าสลับเอาเอสเรียลไปบนนะ
Infernal and Cloud already not available.
คือต้องรอเอสเรียลได้ Trinity ก่อน ไปสู้ตอนนี้แพ้แน่นอนนะเอมมิ่งมีลูเดนแล้ว
We're starting a little bit slowly.
Yeah.
As far as the souls are concerned.
If you're KT in the situation and you're not feeling so great on the back of this one, Ocean Soul not really doing a ton for your team composition. If anything, Gen.G would have preferred it into the poke and with some bulkier frontliners. But
it can work for like the game plan that KT has, right? Like just
เมล ADC ไปแก้ทางอันติเลยนะต้าฮัสซันบอก
And so therefore, like being able to
เหมื
get
อน
that
เหมือน
health bar back could be
แก้เซเลฟีนอันตินะ
back here by Cuz. PDD looking for an angle.
ถ้ามันกดทันแต่เลนาต้าน่าจะกดทันอยู่แต่แบบ
The Rune Prison.
เซเลฟีนอาจจะไม่ทัน
not able to break out of that one.
Good pick. Seeing the rise, Lee Sin combo
ตอนเคเลียอันติเซเลฟีน4 คนมั้ย
especially on a squishier pick like the Karma.
ก็มีเมลอยู่นะก็ไม่ทันอยู่ดี
and still isn't able to get out. And keeping up this pressure really important, especially as KT don't really have souls to win con right now. It's not going to massively push things in favor of them taking the game, so they really have to be pushing this gold lead forward and looking towards Herald and Baron later on.
Do you remember what the KT win condition was against D+ though? It was Elder Dragon.
Yeah.
Almost every game.
Yeah.
Whether they get the soul or not, the Elder Dragon was kind of just KTs. And so we'll see whether they can speed run their way there, where the soul isn't as important, but getting to that big dangerous dragon is.
In this situation, Duro just pushing in, getting a ward down, not seeing Cuz behind him deeper in the jungle. You can see now, if you look at the vision line, ward's exactly where Cuz was before. Duro quickly learning his lesson on that one.
Oh, Q gonna connect there onto Canyon, who does take a fair bit of damage here.
คือคามิวแม่ง
right now. I mean, I know he's saying
เดินตามแบบต้อยเลย
damage available is a big threat, and now they're leaning towards Chovy. There is a TP available for Keen, and he's backed away from the tower, so I think the communication's coming in. I might need help. There it is.
Yep, he is not going to waste any time on that one. Just going to boost his way over here. This gives Perfect so much space, though. Canyon has to come over to try and defend, but now they know exactly where the jungler is. And so Gen.G just kind of being pulled apart in this early mid game by KT. I think
อุ้ย KT เล่นเหมือนฮาวาไหลเลยอะอุ้ยไล่จับไม่หยุดอะโอ้ โชวี่โดนเตะครับผมแต่ว่าป้อมไปแล้วนะเฮ้ยโชวี่โอ้โหแบบอยู่ในป้อมไม่รอดแต่ว่าน่าจะได้เยอะนี้เคิร์สมีแฟดวะขับรถมาเต็มหลบรถโอ้ต้องตายครับผมมาได้โชวี่เหรอ
Gen.G managed to come in and punish KT for a bit of that over-aggression. But in the end, it's
แต่
only
ว่าโช
two
วี่
kills picked up.
0-2 แล้วครับแล้วก็จนอยู่นะ
In favor of Gen.G.
First
They lose
turret
that top
went
lane
over.
tower,
Yeah, exactly.
Now Perfect's trying to be annoying here.
Do they like KT are just interrupting backs all
อ๋อ
over the place. Duro is just dead.
ได้ดูโล
Yeah,
ไปอีก
really
ต่าง
clean.
หาก
For the Scion to go back, knows it needs to target. Now they
รอ
can
ไซ
stop
ออน
this
วา
tower.
ร์ป
It's
กลับก่อน
satchel
แล้ว
range
ปักฟา
for
ไซ
Amy
แล้ว
right
เข้าไป
now.
เอาโอ้โห
Yep, he is able to just blow that one up immediately. So the outer ring
เฮ้ย
at huge risk of just all being
เฮ้ย
eliminated.
ถ้าเกิด
here, and that
KT
is
ฟอร์มนี้
moving
ไม่
back
สู้
all
ไม่
the way
ได้
to
เนี่ย
about 2.5.
มันเล่นมันเอาอะไรเลยอะ
Even though Gen.G came in on the play and were able to catch
Oh.
out two members of KT, hold them accountable, it cost a lot in terms of resources. It cost a lot of flashes. It cost a lot of effort.
It did
แบน
cost
คาม่า
effort.
เลยได้บอกว่าไม่ต้องไปเล่นแบบคาม่า
We
เอ
see
ส
in
วิ
this
ลแล้วก็ไม่ต้องไป
situation, Jovi TP's this tower. It's such a
หรือแม้
dangerous
ก็ถ้าเกิดจะเล่น
play
คาม่าเอสวิลก็แบนซิก
because
แม่งเลย
there's
แล้ว
four members of
แต่แบน
KT
ซิกก็คง
there,
ไม่ค่อยดีเท่าไหร่
and he gets taken out. Effort does end up also dying because they have to extend pretty far for it. But then they go on this chase on Cuz. Cuz on the Lee Sin, super mobile.
ตอนนี้มีใครไปเอฟไซบ้างนะครับมีแค่ฮาวาไลท์หมายถึงว่าทีมเกาหลีนะ
And they have to commit so many flashes. Keen with the final one here
ฮาวาไลท์ได้
to
ไป
get him
ก่อนนะ
down. And then this play is
Seeding.
so smart. I think Duro just kind of knew. Maybe he was shopping, but maybe after the scrying trinket came down, he just knew he was kind of dead.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be
คินดูตายยาก
to get him out of that one as
มาก
Keen
ใส่ออน
once
คิ
again
น
having
อะ
used that ultimate very defensively here towards this bottom side.
แต่ว่าเงิน
And this
ตามอยู่นะ
Serpent
แต่แบบ
Spec really doing some work for Perfect
เออ
as well.
แต่
Cut
สุดท้าย
down
แล้ว
that
เงิน
Soul
ตามอยู่ดี
Furnace.
อะ
Now Cuz moving in, just going to get
อุ้ย
knocked
มา
up by
สี่
that
ผม
cube.
ก็
Gets
เตะ
the
ไซออน
kickback
กลับ
onto
ไม่
the
มีขับรถ
Scion.
แล้วไซออนน่า
Keen
จะ
fully
ไม่รอด
separated from his team, but the rest of them are moving in. Mega Inferno Bomb
เฮ้ย
gonna be
ได้
enough
เหมือน
to
กัน
shut him down, but there
ได้
goes
ฟอร์มเหมือนกัน
Effort as well. And the Zombie Scion is actually doing a fair bit of work here. As Cuz will be able to finish him off in the end. A 1-for-1 top laner for support.
You know, we keep comparing Homewood from yesterday to today with HLE and KT, but they're playing the map.
เฮ้ยเฮ้ย
BO5
แคนยอน
just
เคน
gonna
สัง
walk
กัด
over,
มา
gets the Crescent Guard out of Canyon, who decides to go back in. Flash out from Perfect
เล่นกัน
to
ดุ
avoid
มากอะ
Chovy's
เคที
damage.
ต้องเล่นดุๆแบบนี้แหละ
Just really starting to stack up.
ไปปล่อยให้
Still, KT
เจน
just
จี
gonna move
ฟาร์ม
back,
ไม่ได้
looking for Soul Point.
Yeah, some oversteps there. Cost Perfect his flash in that situation, but he's able to get away from it. Aiming, TPing in with a Shadow Flame. So much burst on this Ziggs now. We see that Gen.G are looking to try and at least contest some of this vision, but 2,700 gold behind it. A big item spike for the Ziggs. It's going to be hard to contest if they want to.
And Canyon also without his ultimate and without a lot of his health bar as well as he's looking to take
คู
down
เลอร์โดนปะ
this red bar.
อ้าว
Ruler on the minefield needs to be very, very careful.
หลอก
As
ล่อครับ
in goes
ไม่ไป
Keen
สุด
once again. Hextech
คีน
ultimatum
บอกมาดิ
holds
ถึ
him
ก
in
ถึก
position.
ผมถึก
But Keen's already
อุ้ยโปร
starting to
ไม่
be
โด
a
น
bit difficult to
perfect
get through. And Gen.G are going to be able to move themselves over. Aiming caught off to the side. But my god, the damage from this Ziggs
Yes, it's
is
all
absolutely
2 seconds.
absurd.
อุ้ย
Yeah, Duro is
ไม่
probably
ไหว
dead. He gets
ว่า
hit by
ไอ้
that
เชีย
one.
ไซออนมันเจอซิกมัน
Already
ไม่ไหว
taken down.
ว่ะ
BDD that locks up that kill. But now
อุ้ย
Canyon in
พยายาม
this
แล้ว
pit.
โอ้ยมังกรไม่ได้ตายหมดเลยเจนจีงานหยาบแล้วครับผม
Everyone is dead. It's only Ruler
รูเลอร์
left.
ตายไหมเนี่ยตายครับผม
Will secure
เอซ
his
ครับ
fate. Is that a quadra?
โอ้ย
But
อย่าสู้
aiming
ซิก
it
ไม่ได้
absolutely is. As KT are massacring Gen.G in this
เฮ้ย
game.
รู้สึก
This
เหมือนแบบ
Shadow
ซิกมันเป็น
Flame
ตัวโกงไงไม่รู้ว่า
damage spike is so insane and aiming. You can see his ult coming up so soon. He's waiting for the window. And all 4 members
ซิกมันโกงอะ
who are remaining of Gen.G end up in the pit. It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
And shooting fish in a barrel when your bullet is the size of the barrel. That's basically what it
Shooting
was.
fish in a barrel with a
นี่ย้อนมาไกลหน่อย
yeah. Oh man, Keen separated here in this instance. It was nicely played. Gen.G able to get that one back against Effort.
Yeah, Effort super squishy at this point. He just dies. But, you know, his KDA is not really important, but here. So aiming's getting some good poke down. Look at the damage of
My
Aduro.
God.
But then his ult's coming up soon. And I'm thinking, when's the window? When's the window? Does he go for the
คือ
Aduro? Or does
ไซ
he
ออน
go for
นะ
the rest of the team?
บอกตามตรงนะคือมันถึกมากอะแต่พอมันเจอซิกโยนสู้ไม่ได้
He
เลย
just throws the ult in. It's so much
แล้วคืออัน
value.
ตีซิกเข้าไปใน
And
หลุม
the
มังกร
insult
เมื่
to
อกี้คือ
injury
แม่งแบบ
there as well is that Cuz also secures Soul Point for KT.
Yeah.
So Gen.G get absolutely nothing back for that huge risk that they took.
You know what? I'll say it.
Please do.
As soon as I saw the entire global side with 3-0 predictions for Gen.G,
I mean, Pony tried his best. He tried his absolute best.
but it's hard to explain.
It is. It's hard to explain just how much he was not able to curse KT by predicting for them. It is going to be this inner turret falling down. And it's a best of 5, ladies and gentlemen. We might be getting a little bit too far ahead of ourselves, but KT are looking absolutely phenomenal here. and sometimes you know like
เหมือนทีวันเมื่อวานเลยแต่ว่าทีวันมีช็อตกลับมาได้เมื่อวาน
Why not just copy it? You know, it's the same exam as now Cuz is going to have his ride stopped there a little bit as Shelly is taken down, so not able to get another charge.
It makes you wonder, during these 2 weeks, I mean, KT and HD win drawn against each other.
โอ้ไอ้เชี่ยไซออนปกติไม่เป็นแบบนี้อ่ะ
To make sure that this Sion is just
คือมัน
completely disconnected
มันแรงมากอ่ะ
Easy pickup. You know, I talked about not playing into the bundle to make the Sion's life so much easier, but KT are just shredding through Keen with the gold lead they have right now. So far ahead.
Oh, aiming, trying to get some information here. Canyon is at least able to tank up some of these bouncing bombs a little bit better than Duro, thanks to a bit of added magic resist here for the Xin Zhao. And Gen.G, they're not out of it just yet, but it's getting close.
If the Sion feels squishy at this point, you're not in for a good time. And I think one of the issues compared to yesterday is T1 had the Jarvan. You know, we saw a lot of that game 1 defined by snap engages. Gen.G don't have snap engage. They don't have ways to easily get onto the Ziggs or onto the Jace. And at this point, when there's flashes available for all the carries of KT, what is your game plan for shutting down aiming? You just run at him fast and hope he doesn't
have satchel?
Yeah. Or flash. Or now rocket.
Keen is going to have to try and do it again. Does use the blast, going to get himself to safety. Is now aiming, is just hunting Ruler. Just throws a Mega Inferno Bomb at him. And he has to Arcane Shift over the wall to avoid getting Bouncing Bomb to death. This is going to be a dead turret. If aiming wants it, and there it goes.
Aiming has just been dominating.
โคตรรวยเจสรวยแล้ว
2.7k ahead.
I mean, you take Palmer Ezreal on the first rotation.
ทำลายป้อมก็ได้
Compared to a Ziggs Camille, it's not a good feeling.
And the thing as well is that they saw yesterday's games, right? But the Camille wasn't denied from the Ziggs. And Evans had a great game as well, as now Duro caught out of position, just slammed into the wall and taken down. Canyon could also be in trouble as well. Crescent Guard trying to keep him okay, but it's a great satchel charge, and Cuz goes in.
ได้บ้างสวนขึ้นได้บ้างอ้าวได้เหมือนกัน พยายามอยากได้แคนยอนครับ
Now King could be in an awkward spot. Perfect
แต่
over
ว่า
the wall
แคน
here.
เซนการ์
There's
มั
a
น
shock
โกง
blast being deflected by Chovy. That is all they're going to be able to achieve, both supports on the floor.
You could see the game plan there from KT. They're like, if we just get Canyon, we can go straight to Baron and get this game in the bag. But they end up overstepping a little bit, and Effort is still just so squishy. I think another factor here is he doesn't have his ultimate available. They get the kill on Aduro pretty easily, but when Effort goes in, he'd love to be able to ult here and just buffer the Crescent Guard and keep him locked in place. But that not available, the turnaround comes in. And Cuz does survive, but Effort just gets obliterated so quickly. He's level 8 in this game.
Ruler is almost dead in this game at this current moment, and that is going to be the sole available for KT.
I think
the enemy not having an 80 carry.
You just give it up. I think it's not worth contesting. It's not that big of a boost for KT.
Elder Flip, baby.
Elder Flip might be the game plan here, but they are looking to move in. Ruler's being.
เมื่อวานแบบไซออนกว่าจะกลับมาในเกมได้อะต้องมีไอเทมกันเวทอะถึงจะแบบพอได้อะ
Thrown back towards KT. That was cute. Didn't know that was even a projectile, but you learn something new every day. As Chovy now with some control here. They do move themselves in. Keen is just taking shot after shot though from aiming and from perfect.
Yeah, they're claiming space.
ได้ทั้งวันนะได้ทั้งวันนะไอ้บ้าโอ้อยากจะโป๊กกลับเหมือนกันขาม่าไม่กล้าเข้าไปโป๊กแล้วจบเลยอะ
This is not a comfortable position for Gen.G.
KT is circling like sharks.
Chovy ไม่ได้โกรธว่ะ
They're sharks with laser beams, man. This Jace
คือ
is
ดาบมากะ
able
ว่า
to
จะ
get a lot of
คอย
these
ก
shock
ดโอ้
blasts
โห
through.
มันโอ้
BDD on that flank angle as well.
มันโยนนู่นโยนนี่ไปเรื่อยเลย
As Ruler is hunting.
WD แบบหาเหลี่ยมวอล์กด้วย
from moving over these mystic shots. Some of them hitting. Doing a fair bit of work.
5,000 damage from the Ziggs already.
Oh, dear, but not actually able to move in, and that is Chovy finding the pick off. It's a solo in the end, actually, is now BDD fighting against Canyon as Ruler moves over. King going to be taken out. There goes Duro as well. And BDD is able to realm warp his way back to his teammates. That is going to be the steal of the Drake going over to Gen.G, denying the soul. And they will now back away.
Absolute heist there from Gen.G to deny the soul. They're like, you know what? We can wait another 5 minutes for the Elder Flip. It ends up being a lot of good poke coming down on
แต่
Gen.G, but
aimingมาหน้าหมด
goes in
เลย
a little early. And the thing
โย
is,
น
they
รัว
know
ๆไม่ได้เราต้องเก็บมาหน้าไว้แบบอันติ
I think this was just a bit overzealous. Effort thinking he can just dodge away from the root.
ก็ดีๆไม่
And
ตาย
then here
อะ
in this
โคตร
turnaround play,
เอา
ends up becoming a bit of a manic rush
Ruler
for
ไม่ได้
the Dragon. That shock blast
ดูเริ่ม
kills
แบบใช้ส
Zero,
กิลนึกว่าจะตายไม่
unfortunately.
ตาย
But Keen buys so much time, not just when he's alive, but in his passive form as well. And that's enough to push KT away. We also saw aiming running out of mana on the back end of the fight. So
แต่
something
ว่า
we have to
BDD
keep in
เมื่อกี้
mind
ไม่ได้
in these
16 นะ
extended poke wars.
เฮ้ยอันนี้อันติได้นะเอาตายแน่นอนเลยว่ะแคนยอน
Absolutely a secret agent. Hook shots towards Canyon here. Hextech ultimatum. Nowhere for him to go. And down goes the Xin Zhao Crescent Guard. Just barely not on cooldown just yet. My God, thank goodness for a rebuttal out of Chovy.
And honestly, thank goodness that aiming's ult wasn't up yet, because I was looking for the cooldown. Level 16 now hit.
Well, now it's up.
Insane.
And it's very big. That is a big
โอ้ย
inferno
ยิง
bomb.
ใส่ชวีไม่โดน
I
นะ
think Mega's probably a good enough word. As all right, aiming
Wait,
taking a
aiming
lot of
die.
damage from Ruler though. Mega Inferno Bomb does nothing if you're dead. As there's a Rune Prison onto Keen. They're trying to dissuade the engage from the Scion.
อุ้ยกลายเป็นว่าเอมมิ่งไม่พร้อมเล่น
once
เนี่ย
again. Chovy looking to find him once again. And he will be able to do so.
Effort ไปอีกแล้ว
Goes for Camille. All right, Chovy knows his job. Just kill him so that he can't do anything. His Cuz gonna have to safeguard his way out of there. But Ruler looking a little worse for wear.
Honestly, just great plays from the carries of Gen.G. Ruler.
อุ้ย
choking
อันนี้
out
ไม่ดีเลยครับ
aiming, putting
BDD
him low on
น่าจะหลบหน่อย
HP, and Chovy finding
เพราะว่า
the stick
พอ
on
มัน
the
โดนแล้วมันจะวิ่ง
effort
ช้า
enough
จาก
to
บ้าน
stall
ครั
out
บ
the Baron and allow Canyon to get back on the map. This was such a delicate position here.
โดน
Canyon
ทูช็อตบาลาจากเอสเรียลมันจะทำให้แบบมันกลับไปรี
ends up just
เลือดที่
getting
บอก
taken down. Not much
ก็
you
ยัง
can
วิ่ง
do
ช้า
against
อยู่
the
ดี
Camille who ults you 1v4 in this situation. And with him down, so Ruler finds a great angle where aiming throws the satchel aggressively there, and he arcane shifts over to get the damage down. Aiming does rocket belt away, but ends up chunked. And then here, Chovy fishing for damage on an effort.
ต้องรอตัวสแต็ก
Does have Crescent Guard this time around though. Mega Inferno Bomb will get it out of him. And that
เฮ้ย
trade of
ไม่
ultimates might work out here for aiming
เกือบ
unless he
นะ
just
ชวีแร
dies,
งมาก
satchels himself away. This time holds onto it. And KT, they do
เฮ้ย
manage
แล้ว
to
ความ
push
สามารถ
Canyon back
ของ
once
เอมมิ่ง
again.
มัน
They
กำลัง
get
จะ
his
หมดไปหรือเปล่า
ultimate, but is that enough to get them a good position here in this game? As the train says no, aiming, having to flash to get himself out. Keen takes a lot of damage. It is otherwise going to be fine, and this is the price that Gen.G has to pay with BDD towards that bottom side. There's a kickback on Dejuro, and the flash in from effort to lock down Chovy.
ชวีจัดการนะผม
Grabbing the kill, but it's a double
บีดี
for Chovy. And now BDD in this backline looking
เฮ้
to
ย
make
แปลก
his
แล้ว
way. Canyon
เอาแล้วว่า KT จบไม่ได้คือหาวิธีแบบไปต่อไม่ได้โป๊กแบบ แล้วคืออยากได้มังกรน้ำจัดไง KT อ่ะแล้วไม่ได้เว้ยถ้าได้มังกรน้ำอ่ะคือจะบอกว่าซิกกับมังกรน้ำแม่งโกงนะเว้ยเพราะว่าซิกมาหน้าไม่หมดเลย
Now Curse's flash and smite and his Elise in, so we'll see if he can approach and try and get a steal. They're trying to stop him. Ruler's getting damage down onto him.
Teleport in from aiming to try and offer that poke damage forward. Cuz not going to get into the Baron pit just yet. They do get the information as there's a satchel just to be annoying. Efforts moved his way over. This is getting a little dicey as the rebuttal now.
เอาใครโดนแต่ว่าได้อยู่นึกว่า Gen.G จะเสียแล้ว
Smite in that pit for a moment because Canyon was killed. But it is going to be Gen.G that secured in the
ขับรถ
end
หนี
thanks to
3-2 เลย
Chovy now
ได้บาลอนครับ Gen.G เหมือนเมื่อวานเลยคัมแบ็กแล้วถ้าไม่ได้
to utilize with it.
That was so
ถ้าไม่มีช็อตอะไร
places.
ถ้าไม่มีช็อตแบบเมื่อวานอ่ะ
Oh, there was just a manic moment.
คัมแบ็กแล้วไงเพราะว่ามันเริ่มกลางเกมไปเลทแล้ว
And it's Gen.G who had control of the areas. Gen.G who get the Baron. The goal lead is closing. The
แต่รอบนี้
soul hasn't
ถ้า
been
มันไม่เหมือน
secured.
J4 เมื่อวาน คือเดินมาเจอแล้วมัน
Even so, it's
มัน
Ocean
ตายได้อะไร
Soul.
เงี้ย
They're losing control of this game.
แต่ถ้าเป็นเฉา
And
มัน
things
ก็
are starting to
มี
go
อั
a
นติ
little
อ่ะ
bit pear-shaped for KT.
The power of Chovy in a lot of these moments could not be understated as Keen once again possibly caught out.
ถึกแล้วครับอุ๊ยเดี๋ยวนะพอพูดคำว่าถึกปุ๊บกับ
now
ต้อง
able
แฟ
to
ดเลย
get
ว่ะ
healed up and helped out by his teammates.
I mean, it's crazy this
เอา
silence
ละครับ
is
ผม
two items when so many
แต่
other
เริ่ม
people
ถึก
are working on 3 or 4 and yet still
และ
doesn't
Ezreal
really enough.
โซนดีเมลก็แรงครับ มาโป๊กกลับเหมือนกัน
prepare for this Drake that's going to be up in 1 second's time. KT having to make their way through a lot of watered brush. Could be very scary.
Again,
Yeah.
no flash, but he's been spotted.
Yeah. On that control ward as the rest of
And
KT are able
Curse-
to protect him.
ตายครับผม
catch in exactly the same spot this time. Perfect goes
เอาละฮะ
down, and Cuz is going to be singled out as well. Down to the GA.
โชวี่โดนจับ
As in
แล้วอย่างไร
goes effort onto Chovy. Looking
ยืน
to
บัง
try
ให้
and
หมดอะ
lock
คีน
him up
ตำแหน่ง
as
โค
aiming.
ตรสวย
Still
คีน
relatively safe. Gets
ยืนรับ
another
ระเบิดให้หมดเอาดิ
minefield down, and my God,
คีบอกตาย
the
ไม่เป็นไร
Ziggs damage is disgusting, but it's
เอาดิ
Ruler
ซิกมาดิ
that just circumnavigates him, takes down BDD. Aiming should be going, and it's a
เอา
triple
แล้ว
for Ruler. If it's not Chovy, it's Ruler in this game.
And they managed to find the fight again. Chovy with the massive pick. No engage. It
คีน
doesn't
รับ
matter
ตำ
when
แหน่ง
Chovy is there
คือคีน
to
รับ
take
ระเบิด
out these
อย่าง
key
เดียวเลย
members
อะ
of KT, and
แก
Ruler
ยืนรับ
comes
ระ
in
เบิ
with
ด
the
ให้
clean
โช
up.
วี่หมดเลย
Oh
เหมือนหลอด
my
เลือดของ
goodness.
คีน
This
ไปให้
Ezreal
โชวี่เลย
4 items now picked
Do
up.
the-
He is doing so much work, and Cuz
เนี่ยรับให้หมดอะ
Banana brush. He's just hiding in the brush, dodging skill shots with the control.
เนี่ยตรงนี้แบบตรงนี้ยังโดนใช่ป่ะแต่พอตรงนี้เนี่ยตรงนี้พอจับแคมจับปุ๊บเนี่ยยืนรับให้หมดเลย คือถ้าจะโยนระเบิดฟิกอะมันต้องโยนแบบให้มันแบบกระดอนไปโดนโชวี่เว้ยแล้วคีนรับตรงแบบกระดอนแรกมันเลยโยนไปไม่ถึงถ้าจะโยนเข้าไปถึงก็คือต้องเดินเข้าไปหาไซออนแล้วโยนข้ามไซออนมันก็ลำบาก
And now, what you were talking about before, about dealing with Kane, is becoming a
โชวี่เลยไม่
reality.
ตายครับโชวี่กำลัง
He's
จะแบก
able to
นะ
put
เก
a
ม
few
นี้
items together. Gen.G find themselves a gold lead for the first time in this game, and a 6,250 Red Bull Baron power
คือ
play
เจนจีประคองเกมไว้ได้ครับแล้วก็
what they
เล่นเลด
used
เก
to
ม
get
ครับ
there. Pretty
เค
impressive
ทีที่
stuff
เล่น
here,
ตัว
and
ต้น
let's
เก
see
ม
whether
กว่า
Gen.G
ก็
can hold on to this
อย่างเช่นแบบ
advantage
คา
and
มิว
kill
เนี้ย
an
ก็ทำอะไร
Nexus.
ไม่ได้ละ
Which
หาย
is
ไปแล้ว
what we
คามิว
weren't able to see when this happened in
สอนเชิ
game
ง
one
ว่ะ
yesterday. KT now able to get some poke damage onto Ruler. That is going to be valuable. They are still in with a fight, and the Ziggs is still extremely strong in this game.
Still such a huge threat, and the big thing is that Chovy and Ruler, the only two carries on Gen.G. If one of them goes down, I feel like the chances just plummet in a team fight, but they've itemized very defensively. Zonya's
กลับมาเงินนำแล้วครับ Gen.G
That's kind of become his namesake.
Did Ruler just go back and buy a full Frozen Heart?
I think he had it. I think he did buy it after that last fight. I'm
Yeah.
not sure it's the
โอ้โห
highest
แล้ว
value
Ruler แบบ
Frozen Heart game, but obviously
โยน
the
สกิล
mana does
รัว
help out with
ๆตอน
the
เนี้ย
mana immune. He is going for a Hex Drinker now to help against that magic damage.
เอเลสฮังเกอ
But
ร์
they
กับ
want
โช
to be
จินอะ
bulky so they can survive against
มันมี
these
ฟอร์เซนฮาร์ด
threats,
ด้วย
because if either of them
ใครได้
go
มังกร
down,
น้ำไปคือ
Gen.G are in
น่าจะชิว
such a
เลยเรื่อง
bad
โป๊ก
spot.
อุ๊ย
Oh, yeah, caught out of
เอฟ
position.
ฟอร์ด
Does manage to get the hookshot stun onto Keen, but he still
Ui, Canyon.
flashes. Now the satchel is going to get Canyon even closer to the carries. Hextech
เนี่ย
ultimate
จะ
comes
ตาย
on
แต่ว่า
over.
น่า
They're
จะ
going
ได้
to try and kill the Zindao.
น่าจะ
And
ได้
they
เคิร์
do
สเหมือนกัน
manage to take him out there. Cuz might just fall as well, though. And True Shot
ว้าตัวขาดไปเลยครับผมผู้ชมประหลาด
separates effort from his
ดูเลือด
life
จะแบกแล้ว
force. And KT gonna have to back away licking their wounds.
I feel like overall, that fight looked like Gen.G might be able to take it, but just the damage from aiming so severe. Even though Cuz and Effort go down, it felt like the ult
Ruler
that
แกดาเมจ
clipped
เท่าไหร่อยาก
Chovy
รู้มาก
and
เลย
that one bouncing bomb that hit 3 people was enough to immediately make Gen.G walk away from the fight. We see here Effort, despite all his mobility, gets caught out here. The wind becomes lightning catches, and then Keen gets the decimating smash here. They then, though, just ult Canyon, chase him down. But look at this damage from aiming that hits Chovy.
My
oh
lord.
my lord. And then they start to move up after the fact. But then look at this bouncing bomb that hits 3. And Gen.G just go, nah, we're good.
As soon as the bomb hit, you saw Trophy's like, nope, I am clicking the other direction.
That was enough. That was enough damage just to make you hesitate, make you stop. And it just shows that, you know, a few key skill shots from this very skill shot reliant composition of KT can make all the difference. All about hitting the right targets as well.
And you can see aiming had
ดาเมจ
a
เริ่มขาด
very
แล้วครับ
large
KT
gold advantage earlier on in the
โดย
game.
เฉพาะ
That
ดา
has
เมจที่
swung
จะปิดไซอ
completely
อนนะ
back around after that last team fight that Ruler was able to take control of. And he is now looking for his final item to put together. A 4.2k gold advantage here for Gen.G. And they've started to stack up these Ocean Drakes. You were talking about the value that Gen.G could get out of this soul. Well, Quadra Ocean Soul could be the option for them if they're able to lock down this next one in a minute and 15. Baron going to be up in 18 seconds time as well. And that is going to be a big one to look for here as Perfect able to avoid Chovy this time around. And there's that more of Malmodius. Ruler is now maxed out.
Yeah, doesn't have a typical armor pen item, but I think into this composition feels like it's not the highest value, even though obviously even on Squisher champs, it does make a good amount of difference, but just prioritizing bulkiness. So much health, armor, magic resist in his build that he is now not an easy target to cut through, and I know there's a ton of damage on KT, but if you can survive a couple of bouncing bombs, it can make all the difference in these fights because KT is so
มารอจับโชวี่ครับ
reliant. that initial burst of damage not taking you down or just not chunking you to that low HP will make the difference here. Actualizer has been finished by BDD though, which we know can be insane with Rise. And Gen.G just started
แต่ว่ายังไม่มี voice star ครับ BDD ยังไม่มีเจาะเวทอ่ะ
Yeah, and Chovy with teleport in hand. KT are still
รู้
looking for
โชวี่
this.
รู้
Even though they know that the Baron had been started, they elect to hold on to this position.
มาไล่แล้วว่ะมาแล้ว
They can deliver effort to this turret if they want to, as well as the rest of Gen.G are wrapping around. Does KT have the information? That's the question. Is now Gen.G able to move back to grab themselves the third dragon if they would like to?
They're just TPing Chovy to safety past the
Oh
dangerous
my
area
God.
where they know that
มาปากหวานให้ Chovy
someone from
TP
KT is hiding. But like, you know what? We'll deal with it later. For now, our focus is the dragon. They know that there's someone hiding out in their
จะดัก
jungle.
จับไง
but
จับไปได้ก็สู้ไม่ได้ ก็เลย
they're
ต้องปล่อย
focused here on this dragon.
Oh, BDD is going to move down towards this bottom side, wants to try and break open the base, I guess, in the meantime, as the dragon is going to be going over to Gen.G.
โอ้ยแล้ว effort วาร์ปนี้หรอ เป็นไปได้เหรอ
As effort, I mean, that's a dangerous place to be going back.
ได้รูเลอร์ป่ะเนี่ย
Seeing whether maybe they can get a catch onto Ruler, he cancels the back, but Duro's still there, Canyon's still there. And KT unable to lock him down. Still teleport back from King. Now it's KT.
อ้าวตีเลยแล้วกัน effort ตี BDD ไป Oh my god the best support
BDD gonna have some choice words for his support after this.
Delivers him on a silver platter to Gen.G, and now with the Rise dead, with the Rise was no teleport. Gen.G will no doubt be looking to make something off this, moving towards the Baron.
Oh no! The ultimate betrayal! As Effort is now going to try and make up for it by trying to take down Keen here. Mega Inferno Bomb is going to be avoided. And KT want to make a cross map. They are going to be able to take down this tower in the mid lane. That will go down very quickly thanks to aiming. Not quite able to get the crystalline overgrowth for this bottom inhibitor turret. So, breaking things open, that is 6 elemental drakes that have been taken down so far. Soul for either team next time.
แต่เมื่อกี้พูดตามตรงถ้าไม่ตีบาสโซนก็น่าจะตายอยู่ดี
I think we are. Oh, there we go.
ไม่แต่พี่ว่าเนี่ยมันอาจจะเราไม่ได้รู้มุมมองของนักแข่งเว้ยคือแอฟฟอร์ดอาจจะบอกว่าแฟดมาแล้วดีๆก็ไม่ได้แฟดไงก็คือถ้าเกิดแฟดมาตรงเหลี่ยมของแอฟฟอร์ดก็คือตีแล้วก็ไปด้วยกันเลย
Long live the king.
Perfect. Keen now going to get tagged here. Does manage to ult to avoid getting kicked back. That was nicely done. Mega Inferno Bomb onto only a Scion, who looks like his health bar is going up. True Shot Barrage is going to sail over the top of them, and it's Effort that goes down. Yeah, Keen is immortal now.
He's so tanky, and Effort is paper now, though they're looking for them.
Yeah, looking for an angle here towards Canyon. It's Cuz that dives on top of him. Perfect should be able to help take down the Xin Zhao, and there it is, down to his GA.
Guys, the
and KT are now also trying to take down Keen. Ruler and Chovy, though, they have all the damage, and they're going to say, you can have Keen.
Guys, they're ending the game.
Canyon, we are going to win the game. Exactly right. Nexus turret number 2 going to go down, and they have so much damage. Aiming makes it back to watch as his Nexus goes poof. And Gen.G will go up 1-0 in the series.
So much happened in that game.
Oh my god แล้วควันขึ้นด้วยโอ้โห
And mid-game
โคตรเท่เลยว่ะ
performance from KT is
Gen.G
thrown out the window as Gen.G clawed back with some clutch team fighting. In the end, the two who end the game are the two who found the windows in the team fight. Ruler and Chovy having a great bounce back performance in that one.
Yeah.
And I just think it's crazy how KT looked so
เมื่อวานจริงๆแล้วฮาวอะไรเกมแรกเกือบระเบิดแบบนี้แหละ
macro setup in the side lanes and then the
กลับ
game
มาเพราะว่าแบบว่าแม่งดันกลางไปแล้วก็คือโอนเนอร์ก็เดินไปจ้าเอ๋
And I don't think Keen even
ท่านผู้เจริญแล้วก็คือก็ตายแล้ว
so much time
เฟเกอร์ทีพีกลับบ้านแล้วก็เห็นน้องๆกำลังจะสู้กันก็เลยวาร์ปลงมาตรงมินเนี่ยนแล้วทุกคนก็มาล้อมเฟเกอร์แล้วก็ฆ่าเฟเกอร์ไม่มีใครและเกมแม่งก็แพ้ไปเลย
I just you know I feel like I expected maybe if they won this game 1 the series could be a roller coaster, but the game 1 it really delivered. We're in a best of 5.
Yeah.
There's more to come, but KT that game felt a little funky.
Funky is the perfect way to describe that one. A lot of key picks have now been taken though, so the fact that we're in Fearless does feel very, very good for this best of 5. And KT definitely looking even more than competitive. They were winning for so much of that game. It's time for us to take a short break. When we get back to space, gonna break that one down, then we'll have game number 2 of this best of 5. He predicted KT to 3-2. So basically what he's saying is it's going to be exactly the same thing as when they faced off against D plus Kia, which KT solidly won 1 game in that series.
Wow.
And now they've lost a game, but they might be able to cause some shenanigans again moving into this game number 2 as we are into the draft, having a look at this train that could have either Gen.G or KT, if they're able to get through T1 tomorrow, etched onto it. Such a cute little train set. I absolutely love it. Daejeon and Wonju are like, Daejeon's kind of on the way as well. Like it's similar direction from Seoul-ish. At least I noticed the sign when I was driving over here.
Oh.
There was Daejeon on one of the signs before I pulled off to head to Wonju.
That's what you're basing all of your
Absolutely.
geographical understanding on.
Absolutely. Purely street signs in Korea.
Okay. Well, I mean,
if you ask me about where Bangladesh is, I'm going to have no idea because I haven't seen that street sign here in Korea just yet. All right, the Nocturne going to be taken away as well as the Varus so far, and we have Casio and the Oriana also removed. This time around, KT are going to be on the blue side as Gen.G do have first pick moving into this one. So KT choosing blue side after that.
Yeah, so last draft, we obviously saw a lot of focus towards setting up the Rise with the Anivia ban. Here, though, Gen.G maintained this Jarvan ban. Obviously, generally a good ban because definitely a specialist on that pick. Taking away 2 of these engaged junglers, Bard was banned by KT, and it is going to be banned again by them here, denying that away from Duro. So, seeing all these junglers thinned out in this situation.
I'm intrigued about what the first pick is going to be. I don't have a strong feeling.
There is Rumble.
Rumble is a good one, and it is keen. But the Annie is going to be the choice here for Chovy. Has been a big one for BDD as
มา
well
แล้วครับ
this season.
แอนนี่ของโชวี อันนี้เล่นเยอะสุดเลยนะ8 ตัวไอ้8 ครั้ง
We've often seen
จริงๆ BDD ก็เล่นเยอะ
picked into it, but for now it's going to be KT who slammed down the Rumble. There's still plenty of responses for Keen into this. We've seen Yorick do well, Cassante,
Yep.
Galio.
There's a few different options that they can go for. I'm kind of feeling like Keen might go for the Cassante route, but we'll see. Cuz we'll see whether it is going to be a jungle locked in here.
เมื่อวานพี่บิดหรือเปล่า
You could even just
ไม่ได้
do
ตาม
Rumble Trundle.
เมื่อวาน
Feels pretty
ลง
good.
ไวครับใช่ครับ
Rumble Vi, another great one. And that is going to be their choice here.
ทีวันพาสติฟเล่นเก่งเรื่อยๆแต่ถ้าไม่หยุดพักจะรีเซ็ตความเก่งไปที่0
One and the Vi will be locked away. So
อันนี้เรื่องจริง
now
นะ
Gen.G with the ability to respond. I imagine Cassante X is what's going to be coming on through.
ถ้าแข่งเรื่อยๆทีวันเหมือนจะเก่งขึ้น
And as for Canyon, there's a lot of options, honestly. Wukong, Annie Wukong is something we talk about all the time. They are just going to slam that down.
Just slam the Rakan. Just do it. Just go full Rise group, baby. Instead, it's the Ambessa, so Kane going for a little bit more of a damage route.
Ambessa was another one of those picks that we saw early on into Rumble not doing so well, but then she got those buffs, more early damage, more healing on the ultimate, and she started to find more favor. So this is a lot of threat onto any immobile picks that KT end up taking. You already have Ezreal out the pool.
Oh,
it is going to be that Talia coming through. Yeah, so by Talia and the Unraveled Earth, a ton of value into this situation. Yeah. Both teams picking up a lot of strong picks, and really looking towards the bot lane as to how you're going to survive against what the enemy top side has when it comes to those 5v5s.
Why Talia?
The options for sort of noping out of the lane have been removed as well in the Mel and the Ziggs, the most popular of the mages to be utilized there on the bottom side. So should be an honest 80 carry battle between Ruler and Aiming.
I think the priority here is going to be on these longer range 80 carries. Jin is going to have a ton of value in this situation. Caitlyn, the Ashe ends up getting banned away, so no Ashe Seraphine. But we've seen countless times, especially when you have so much damage across the composition, Jin being able to follow up on things like the Equalize or the Annie Wukong, very powerful. And there's no one who's that tanky in this game that you're worried about playing Jin into Sion or something like that.
Yep, and there shouldn't be any of those options either, even with Aftershock being a little bit better on this patch. And it's going to be Lulu taken away. That's going to be that first ban from Gen.G, denying both the weird Cogmore shenanigans that we saw yesterday and a sprinkling of earlier on.
Yeah, Lulu obviously offering a ton of peel, but also just able to follow up when you dive in, when those junglers dive in, being able to wild growth on top of that. Yep. I feel like as well, depending on the bot lane matchup, it's interesting Caitlyn's still open and available.
ใช่พี่ยังคิดว่าวายมันแพ้ราคาไซย่าแบนไซย่าไปก็น่าจะจบละ
in the bans later on. Xayah taken away, so removing some of
the
safety for Rula, and obviously Rula, a very notoriously good Xayah player.
Yep, I seem to remember a certain 2017 where he did look pretty good on that champion. All right, one final ban.
แป๊บนึงนะแชท
I mean, the Nautilus is still up, but Gen.G can lock that one down for themselves as the Poppy is going to be taken. All right, will it just be Nautilus here for effort, or will they go for aiming's pick first?
If I'm KT in this situation, I feel like MF or Jin feel pretty good here.
LL มีเว็บพนันเข้ามาซื้อทีมบ้างเปล่าครับเดลต้ามีแต่ทีมเว็บพนันอันนี้ยังไม่มีครับ
And you can pick that, and then you can obviously take kind of pick on your support.
แต่ฝั่งยุโรปมีเปล่าไม่ชัวร์ว่ะอันนี้
And it is just going to be that Jin for aiming. All right, great follow up on the rest of the composition, and Jin pretty solid in lane. There's not much I feel like Gen.G can throw down here that with the support counter pick you're not able to answer for KT. And what will Gen.G go for? I think there are support options if you want to be a bit more aggressive, like we talked about the Rakan syncing well with the composition, but also like Shen works pretty well too.
Well, that's a fun one.
On top of what they have, but they are going to go for that Senna.
All right, she's been creeping up.
Does have that long range.
เหมือนได้ยินข่าวว่าเลยอนุโลมจะเป็นของ Valorant ป่ะสปอนได้แต่ห้ามขึ้นเสื้อ
You have the shroud to play around, so can play at a distance, and then if you see Vi coming, can pop that.
มาแล้วครับผมเซนน่าครับผม
coming through.
Yep, I like the Nautilus denial as well as the pickup in the lane alongside the center because they don't have a lot of engage out of Gen.G. Yeah, they've got flash tibbers, but it's not exactly all that reliable. And so Duro now having a lot of agency here in this game. Effort with the ability to answer this though. We'll see what he is going to be picking up.
เขาบอกว่าไลออดยกเลิกแบน
For some reason I feel like he's going to
เปิด
play
ทีมให้ LL กับ Valorant ทีม Valorant กับทีม LL อะระดับเทียร์1รับสปอนเซอร์จากบริษัทพนันได้
Shen's good.
Yeah, Alistair's a very fun one.
I think those are fine.
Yep, I like this a lot more.
Rel works too. I think just picking a strong melee engager in this situation.
แต่ว่า
And it looks like it will just be that Rel. So both teams, a lot of explosive power in their compositions are longer range AD carries will be vulnerable if connected.
ก็คือแปะที่เสื้ออะไรไม่ได้เลย
We'll have to see how these team fights are played out. I do think that the center, I'm interested to see if Rula does take the Deathfire touch that we've been seeing so much in solo queue. I was checking his solo queue
แล้วก็ในส่วนของพวก LCK หรือแบบเกาหลีจีนอะไรเงี้ย
But I do feel like even though KT have a lot of that
ใช้ได้กับทีมในอเมริกาแล้วก็ EMEA
into how consistent we've seen the Annie Wukong be and the Ambessa in Keen's hand. I think a lot of this is going to come down to the Vi Talia getting some momentum early, and especially because Vi does have more early impact than the Wukong. If you get the ball rolling, both these compositions, so much mid-game team fighting power, whoever gets ahead, it's going to be hard to match them.
I would agree. And I find it really interesting that you're like, oh, it's all about Vitalia. Well, I mean, it's always all about beating.
คือถ้าสมมติพี่ก็รู้สึกว่ารับไม่ได้นะสมมติว่ามาเลยเฟกเกอร์888อะไรเงี้ยแบบไม่คือจบเลยนะเว้ยแล้วคือเฟกเกอร์888แม่งก็คือเต็มไหมเนี่ยแบบหนังเถื่อนอะ
I feel like there are so many similarities to how these
ตาเหี่ยว
compositions
ได้
play
รู้สึก
out.
ว่าอยากที่จะช่วยเหลือผู้คนตาเหี่ยวเลยเดินไปหยิบธนูตาเหี่ยวจากนั้นตาเหี่ยวก็เดินไปข้างหน้าแล้วก็ตัดสินใจที่จะยิงไอ้นี่ลงมาจากตึกสมัครเลยเฟกเกอร์888โอนจริงจ่ายจริงอะไรเงี้ยแม่งคือโอ้ ดูบ่อยเลยไงพี่มันไม่ต้องดูบ่อยมึงก็จำได้คือเอาง่ายๆนะคือดูแค่ครั้งเดียวอ่ะแล้วมันเป็นตาเหี่ยวอ่ะแล้วก็คือแบบแม่งก็ติดไปในสมองเลย
Just battling for control of the wave right now. The Pandemonium skin there for the Annie as well.
And we do have Death via Touch from Ruler. So finally,
แบบนั้นแบบผิดกฎหมาย
Senna in the LCK that has been doing crazy numbers in solo queue.
ไม่รู้เหมือนกันไม่ค่อยรู้ว่าเว็บมันผิดกฎหมายถูกกฎหมายมันอะไรยังไง
Like a 55% win rate. It's insane right now. So
เพราะว่าออกจากวงการพนันอันนี้มาแบบนานมากไม่เข้าไปเกี่ยวข้องเลย
As Anchor is just going to find that cast minion in the back line. Really interesting that we had to move our expectations of this lane a little bit, but then move them back again now that both of these supports are playing engage. It's sort of evened out. I feel like the Jin should once again have a fair bit of control in this lane, especially in the early levels. The Ruler is just going to infinitely scale.
เมื่อวานเซนนาของกุมาชิมันได้ค่าเยอะแบบผิดแปลกมากอะปกติกุมาชิเล่นเซนนาตอนอยู่ทีวันนะเลนมักจะไม่ค่อยดีเท่าไหร่เลนมักจะแบบว่าไม่เจ้าก็คือกระโดด
I think just with the explosive engage potential from KT, if you reach Ruler and he dies, it doesn't matter how much range he has.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, being able to play around that huge range makes it harder to reach him. But I do think that there's options no matter what for KT, unless they're extremely far behind. And a lot of it's going to come down to just execution. Who starts the fight first and leads the charge? Because both team comps, as you were saying before, play in a relatively similar way with how they want fights to start, and it is them being the initiators and picking off key targets.
มันเป็นกิลเลอร์เทรดฟอเร็กไม่มีเวลาจริงๆอ่ะถ้ามีเวลาแบบไม่ต้องสตรีมนะจะชอบดูพี่ชอบเป็นคนชอบดูกราฟแล้วชอบว่าอ๋อมันอย่างนี้มันอย่างนี้ชอบดูกราฟไปทั้งวันอ่ะแต่ว่าไม่มีเวลาเราคือมันไม่ใช่ว่ามีเวลาตอนไหนก็ทำได้นะฟอเร็กไอ้พวกนั้นมันต้องมีเวลาแบบคือเราไปว่างตอนตีหนึ่งมันก็ไม่ได้อะไรเงี้ยมันควรจะว่างแบบ5 โมงเย็นมันควรจะว่างแล้วทุ่มหนึ่งนะคือแบบเฮ้ยตลาดกำลังเปิดกำลังสนุกเลยอะไรเงี้ยมันเป็นอย่างนั้นแต่พี่ไม่ได้เทรดแล้วพี่ตอนนี้พี่ซื้อกองทุนอย่างที่พี่บอกไปแล้วพี่ก็ฝากเงินกองทุนไปเรื่อย
So I'm interested to see whether KT can actually once again find themselves a good early game.
มันเหมาะกับเรามากกว่า
The problem is it's got to weigh on your mind that in the last game they were looking phenomenal early on, and then things all kind of fell apart.
Well, what I will say is
a bit of an attempt.
Going back to yesterday again, the 17th time. Even though HD did win that game 1, we saw them get the early lead and then falter multiple times in that series, but they were still the team with the agency and they eventually figured it out. So I guess KT hoping that will be their fate in this series, that yes, they did falter in game 1, but if they're the ones with the momentum, they can eventually just find a way to close the game out.
And I mean, they faltered in games 1 and 2 against D+ Kia just last weekend, and that worked out pretty well for them.
ทำไมเซนนาถึงเริ่มกลับมาคุณลองคิดภาพว่าเมื่อก่อนมันจะไม่ใช่เซนนาใช่ป่ะมันจะเป็นวาลัสพอวาลัสมันอยู่ในเมตาโดนแบนพอจะเล่นเปลี่ยนหาตัวอื่นเล่นลูเซียนลูเซียนโดนแบนเคทลินโดนปรับโดนแบนอะไรเงี้ยมันก็ต้องหาตัวใหม่เรื่อยๆครับต่อไปถ้าเซนนาเก่งเซนนาก็โดนแบนไม่ปกติของการแข่งขัน
Often when you're playing into Annie at level 6, it feels pretty bad. Oh, that missed.
Great yeah, actually just gonna miss because otherwise the buffer would have come on through.
But as I was saying, most champions when Annie hits level 6 suddenly just
แต่ตอนนั้นผลกำไรดีไหมครับมันแบบมันดีแต่มันน่าจะฟุกแหละพี่ว่าเพราะว่ามันก็ไม่คือมันได้แหละแต่ว่ามันแบบมันที่ว่ามันดวงมันฟุกอย่าไปคาดหวังอะไรกับไอ้นี้เลยเชื่อพี่ทำงานแล้วก็หาอย่างอื่นทำดีกว่าลงทุนอย่างอื่นดีกว่าของพี่มันน่าดวงให้ดวง 90% แล้วเพราะว่ามันมีครั้งหนึ่งพี่ซื้อใช่ป่ะแล้วพี่ก็แบบตั้งว่าขายตั้งแบบเฮ้ยกดขายแล้วอะ แต่ว่ามันมีเหตุการณ์อะไรไม่รู้มันเหมือนมันไม่ได้ขายเว้ยมันเหมือนแบบมันแบบเหมือนต้องกดตกลงอีกทีนึงแล้วพี่ไม่ได้กดหรืออะไรสักอย่างประมาณเนี้ยแล้วพี่ก็ไม่ได้ขายแล้วพี่ก็นึกว่าพี่ขายไปแล้วแล้ววันหนึ่งพี่ก็แบบว่าผ่านไปประมาณเดือนนึงอ่ะพี่ก็เปิดเข้าไปดูเล่นๆอะไรเงี้ยแบบเฮ้ยมันเป็นไงมั่วช่วงนี้ปรากฏออเดอร์นั้นมันยังไม่ได้ขายแล้วแม่งพุ่งไปไกลแล้วอ่ะแบบงงเฮ้ยที่กูขายไปแล้วนี่ว่าไอ้เชี่ยไม่ได้ขายเอ้าแล้วมันดันไปทางที่เราไอ้นี่พอดีก็ดวงพี่ก็เลยบอกว่าตอนนี้ก็มีคนหนึ่งเขาว่าเล่นกันนะแล้วก็ไปโชว์เขานี่ไงพี่อะไรเงี้ยแต่จริงๆแล้วแบบดวงจังหวะชีวิตแบบว่าแต่ว่าพี่มันก็รู้สึกว่าคือถ้ามันทำไม่ได้มันก็คงไม่มีใครทำอาชีพนี้หรอกคือหมายถึงว่ามันก็มีคนทำอาชีพเทรดของมันอะมันก็มีคนทำได้แหละเพราะนั้นมันก็คือถ้ามีความรู้พอมันก็ทำได้ครับแต่ว่ามันก็ต้องทุ่มเวลาใช่ต้องทุ่มเวลากับมันจริงจังกับมันก็ทำได้ทุกอย่างซึ่งมันขัดต่อการสตรีมไงมันสตรีมมันทำไม่ได้อะ
Top lane Keen as well was having a bit of a rough time in lane, but the spike you get from your ult making a big difference. But now though they're looking to collapse onto him. There's no TP from Chovy, no one's near. He might just be dead.
Yeah, cease and desist is available. There is the Weaver's wall.
Wow,
does manage to buy a lot of space, but they just get back on top of him. Keen should be able to take down. There it is, the 1-for-1.
Oh my God!
And it's a disaster for KT as Chovy moving up towards that top side as well.
BDD in a bit of trouble.
BDD is going to be able to make it out safely.
Keen played that beautifully and almost actually got 2 kills out of that. BDD was so low as well. The ultra buffer the CC
แต่ว่าเมตาไอ้26.11ต้องยอมรับว่าเขาบัฟไปตัวซับเปิดขึ้นมาไอ้พวกนอติลูสไอ้เรลอะไรเงี้ยซับเปิดอะซับเลี้ยงโดนเนิร์ฟครับเนิร์ฟจากไอ้พวกของไอเทมซับเปิดจะไอเทมมันดีกว่ามันได้บัฟแล้วก็ซับเลี้ยงโดนเนิร์ฟอะไรเงี้ยมันก็เลยแบบ
from the Vi just means all the follow up is missing like the equalizer everything was over there where his original position was all that damage missing means he's able to survive long enough to take out Cuz so Keen
แต่ไม่ว่าจะซับเลี้ยงซับแทงบัฟเบิร์ฟอะไรทีวันก็โดนแบนบาดอยู่ดีครับ
but the fact he lands it so he can move away from where they were trying to target him down makes all the difference.
Beautifully played. And what he said there was, "Find no flash," and he did it.
ตลอดไป forever.
And then died. Ruler now going to slink into the mist as the Shattering Strike is going to be able to stun him up. The rest of Gen.G though just going to get pushed away from this bottom side. KT now with a slight gold advantage, largely due to aiming being a bit further ahead than this center. That is kind of what we expect in this bottom lane. As you stated earlier, Ox, so everything kind of going to plan here for both teams.
แพทหน้าท็อกได้บัฟมา มาดูกันว่า MSI จะโผล่มาไหมแต่ว่าเพิ่มดาเมจมานิดเดียวนิดแบบนิดเดียวแต่เขายังยืนยันว่าท็อกอะมันเป็นตัวในเมตานะแล้วก็แบบจริงๆแล้วมันเก่งมากเลยแต่ว่าในแข่งไม่มีใครเล่นเฉย
The burn earn value starting to stack up. Looking for that Leandri's is item number 1 as Duro. Whether he does hit anything to this, decides not to. BDD just going to be pushed away from Chovy though.
Wheeler still has no flash.
Oh dear. There is the revisit and down will go Ruler. It's a decent cleanse, but he is not going to live. Sometimes you just like to press R before you die.
เคนก็จริงแต่ว่าขนาดนี้
I'm gonna be honest. You are just beyond dead as
เดี๋ยว
soon as they show
เดี๋ยวโดนต่อยเดี๋ยวโดนปืนยิงเดี๋ยวโดนอีมาขวิดเคนไม่ไหวเลย
Yeah, otherwise that
play safe please
I mean to be honest I think even if it gone off
ข้อเสียของเมื่อกี้ของ Gen.G เลยคือเขาไม่ได้ใช้สเปลเลยป่ะนั่นทำให้แถมรูเลอร์เสียสเปลด้วย
isn't quite available. They knew that Duro had shown up in the mid lane, and here the CC layering is really good. That knockoff from Effort as well, knocking him just a little bit away from the turret. It wasn't the hardest play to pull off, but I think they just did everything right in that situation.
Yep, and that means 1,000 gold the lead here for KT. 3 grubs, though, over to Gen.G. They do have the first Drake. Next one coming up in 45 seconds. So it's a bit more of a neutral objective game for Gen.G. this time around. Last time, KT kind of had a monopoly on that one, even though it was 2 grubs in favor of Gen.G. This time, though, it's 3. And that feels pretty nice. As now KT are closing in on Duro. This time, though, he's not playing Karma. He is a little tankier with his Aftershock.
So notably, Aiming has the Ghost Blade completed, and Ruler's yet to finish his first item. So missing out on that spike currently. Both junglers with item completions, though.
Yeah. Thunder Sky into the Trinity Force.
Ma.
They're looking for an angle here towards BDD, though, as now.
Nice, Dulo.
Yeah, unfortunately, Chovy just didn't quite have the stun ready in time. Otherwise, I think BDD is just dead. But the flash is still an easy pickup for very little in terms of resources expended.
Yep, teleport back to the top lane here for Keen. As Perfect just teleported himself. So a 4v4 if they are going to fight for this dragon. It looks like Cuz might be thinking about it as they do move themselves over.
I think Gen.G feel happy about that because the Rumble Equalizer has so much impact in these early fights, and Keen's still yet to complete his first item. We know that first item spike on the Ambessa very significant. So they will end up taking the second dragon.
Gen.G เลยนะเว้ยคีนนะเว้ยนั่นน่ะ
We did it. Thank you so much. And Ox, this is a lot to do with you as well, right? No Chemtech.
ไอ้หนุ่มน้อยคนนี้มันสัญญาหมด
And we just shunned it.
สิ้นปีนี้ด้วยนะเนี่ย Perfect เนี่ย
That's absolutely what we're going to do. It's not September yet, so we're going to take that one off the playlist. There are plenty of other options. That band is great.
Yep.
It's all right. Effort now getting some vision down in this mid lane. And we've got Aiming in the top side this time around, trying to grab some plates up there. As there is the crash down, flash out from Duro, but he immediately gets encountered by Cuz, who is able to throw him towards the sky. There's the blast cone, but Effort gets into position. Dawning Shadow to try and keep Duro alive. He's still alive as the curtains were called. He's finally taken out, but it's just support for support.
I think they could have done a better job of blocking those chin bullets. I
don't know, Duro did a great job.
Canyon just kind of letting his support die. But they do trade 1-for-1, which, all things considered, with how it started, I think Gen.G not too upset about it, although they are down Duro's flash. Canyon does dodge away.
ถ้าได้ perfect แทนโดรานพี่เอาไหมครับ
Nice little sidestep, able to warrior trickster towards his Krugs. That is where he's going. I feel like Perfect has had a lot of control in this lane, but I'm not really seeing it represented in the farm or the money or anything like that as far as his top lane battle is concerned. Let's have a look at this one though.
So this
Perfect
looks a little silly from Duro, but the thing is, they've been fighting constantly and nothing's
เจอการเล่น
happened,
วีคไซด์ของ T1 เข้าไปอ่ะถือว่าโดรานได้รับมือได้อย่างชะงักนักอ่ะแบบ
Canyon got stunned there and his clone wasn't quite blocking, so I guess I give him a pass on that one. Not quite like the effort betrayal from the previous game.
No, not quite there yet. As Chovy just going to be clearing out some minions. He's had a relatively quiet one, but when Chovy has a quiet game, he generally goes up about 20 CS, and that's precisely what's happened here.
แต่ได้คือพี่อยากได้ซูดถ้าซูดมันต้องเป็นอารมณ์แบบต้องมาเล่นกับซูดด้วยอาจจะเป็นไม่ดีสำหรับทีวันก็ได้คือมันต้องมีสักคนหนึ่งอ่ะที่แบบมันต้องรับตีนอ่ะตอนซูดกับกูบายูชิมีคนหนึ่งคือบางทีก็เป็นกูมาบางทีก็เป็นซูด
Yeah, in your favor. So I think we can certainly see that the value for the Jin is a little bit higher. This stage, I'm trying my very best.
ของโดรานนี่คือรับตีนตลอด ตลอดไป
Execution going to get flashed there by Perfect. And by perfect execution, I mean public execution.
Yeah, it would have been a perfect
execution.
Yeah. And could have been Akali. And hitting Akali's ultimate is a little bit of a super dash anyway. That's all right, KT now looking to close in on Chovy here. Effort going to be moving on over. There's the Magnus to hold him in position. And he needs to get out of the way of the seismic shot. He does manage to pass that test, but now the curtains have been called. Oh my goodness. We just need an auto from BDD and they do manage to take him down. Just not quite enough.
ถึงแม้จะตายนะแต่ว่าโอ้โหการหลบสกิลยิงแม่ง
Tibbers at the end to block the rocks from BDD, but he just throws on with his hand.
Yeah.
That's enough to take him down.
ได้ใจไปเลยว่ะ
A tough one, as we're going to have a look at this matchup between our top laners in this bottom lane. We don't quite have the Leandri's done for Perfect. He's going to feel a lot better when that comes in, but Keen very close to the Eclipse. He's also very, very powerful. Blackfire Torch now just done for BDD as we have a look at this play one more time.
Yeah, so starts moving backwards, expecting a dive, and then BDD goes in with the ultimate, flashes away from the Deadly Flourish because he knows a seismic shove is guaranteed afterwards, but then he's in this uncomfortable position. There's not really any way he can get out. And yeah, moves Tibbers in front and just gets an auto.
Oh my god.
Is enough. Now Canyon looking for perfect here. With no
Okay.
flash, this should be an easy dive.
Yep, Equalizer is going to come down, so they will at least be able to have perfect deal with the wave.
Oh,
Flash out from
fair,
Keen to
man.
make sure that he doesn't die. As now he got to crash down from Effort to get over to a blast cone, and then to get pulled back by Duro and probably killed. There's a great seismic shot though as BDD comes over to save the day.
มาจินอ้อมมา
And Deadly Flourish connects
ชวี
onto
ไม่
Chovy.
มี
It's
แฟ
a
ด
fair bit of damage there. Is now
แต่ว่า
wants to have another one of
แอ
those
ฟฟอร์ด
Deadly
ไม่พร้อม
Flourishes, but doesn't quite have it back up just yet. And KT will now just move over towards this mid lane.
Aiming not having ult there is really what allowed
อุ้ยอย่างนี้ได้ป้อมกลางวะเนี่ย
away on the back of that play. Did look
นับ
like they
มา
were
ไม่ทันนะ
over
ชวีไม่กล้าวาร์ปลงด้วย
now
เอ้ย
BDD
ชวียังไม่ไปครับ
has flash.
โอ้
The Tibbers is going to come down from the
Oh.
sky, and the anchor is not going
BDD
to
จะ
steal
ไป
the
เอา
kill.
โชวี่
That's
ให้
going
ได้
to
ค
go
รับ
over
ผ
to
ม
Chovy. So they're going to trade BDD from
แม่
mid out of
BDD ไม่น่า
turret.
ไล่
I
เลย
think
อะ
BDD just has to flash
เข้าใจว่า
that away
BDD
defensively.
พยายามที่จะขัด
Very
วาร์ป
telegraphed
โช
by
วี
Chovy.
จะได้
It's not
แบ
like
บ
he's flashed
ได้ป้อมกลาง
using
แต่แบบ
you, he just ran at you. And the late flash was a little bit ambitious there. KT still managed to get that mid tower though, so they at least get something for that they can be happy about. But BDD being down, flash and dying anyway does not feel so good.
Now, soul point available for Gen.G. If they would like to get over
แต่ช่วงหนึ่ง
towards this dragon. I
Perfect
imagine
ก็
this
เล่นแบบ
one
weak
is
side
what the
ได้
KT
ดี
are
นะ
gonna fight for.
แกเล่นเลนเน็กตัน
BDD's
แต่ว่า
really late, though. No TP and I mean he has
มัน
some
ก็
Weavers will
จืด
get
มาก
there
ๆอ่ะ
quicker.
ก็คือเล่นเลนผ่านแบบ
Have been able to
ทุลักทุ
control
เล
this area
มา
quite
แบบ
nicely though. Control vision is
อาจ
now
จะ
in
มี
the banana brush.
ตายบ้างแต่มันก็
Things like
มา
that.
ทีมไฟได้
I think the ult economy not in their
แต่แทบ
favor
ไม่ได้มี
with
ส่วนร่วมเท่าไหร่
Cyclone
อะ
down, public execution down, Tibbers and depth charge. That just is enough for them to say we don't need this dragon. We can give it up. We can play for top instead.
Exactly what they're going to do. So first one for KT on the board as
โอ้โห
BDD
ใช้
might
ไม่
be
โดน
targeted
จริ
once
งๆว่ะ
again. And yeah, Canyon comes in,
แล้
finds
ว
that
ตาย
cyclone
เลย
as
มัว
soon
แต่
as
ไป
it
ใช้
comes off
แต่
cooldown.
มันก็แบบ
He's using it
ต้องพยายาม
again.
ตัดเลือดโชวี
Grab
แหละ
that
ไม่งั้น
kill.
ก็โดน
So
แก
that
ง
is now 2 deaths for BDD in quick succession.
BDD ตายไป2ตัวแล้วครับ
Yeah, punish there, and I mean you have to go back to the previous play when he burnt his flash when he was kind of dead anyway. Easy to capitalize on him when he still doesn't have that summoner available. Now the TP coming in from Chovy.
แต่ว่าวางใส่แอนนี่ไม่มันแบบ
The walk
มันอาจจะยาก
away
ป้าโชวี
from
มัน
the
กด E แล้วมันก็
teleport
วิ่ง
angle.
เลยมันอะ
Yeah,
That's a
very
new one.
complicated, but pulls it off effectively.
Yeah. The whole clicking up.
เป็นท่าที่ใช้
I
ยาก
just
มา
never
ก
would
เลย
have
เว้ย
thought of it. As all right,
Talia.
Keen not going to be breaking that crystalline overgrowth just yet. Wants to deny as many minions as possible, and will finally take it down with only one left. Clears out the wave. So this Ambessa going to move to a 1.2k gold advantage,
Yeah,
and you can see the CS numbers aren't crazy, but with the kill, the assists, and all of that turret money, he's feeling very good on this Ambessa.
Keen and Canyon are really strong, both of them. Especially when Canyon gets a second item, such a big spike for the Wukong ult.
Oh dear, this is just trading mid laners over and over again. Crash down from Effort is going to connect, and BDD is going to get some revenge as Tib is also taken out.
I'm going to say it. This is normally the top laner's fate. So
Yeah.
Keen and Perfect are kind of happy seeing it not be there.
ระวังนะ
That being
มันมี
said,
เผาอยู่นะ
Yeah, Keen is going to, I guess, feel jealous. I don't know, as he is going to potentially have a little bit to deal with himself. But he just holds onto the wave, and he will be all right.
Yeah, without the Vial, and also being that Keen is pretty tanky, pretty hard
แคน
to
ยอ
deal
น
with,
30 ว่ะ
they don't end up messing
Keen
with
รวย
Gen.G's top laner in that situation.
Besser is getting strong. The Eclipse spike, man, it is just kind of crazy. 5 seconds on Chovy. He'll be back up again. No teleport, but he can run real fast. Didn't go for the Swifties this time.
พี่กินไม่ลงเมื่อวานเหรอครับ
We've
ล
seen
ง
a lot
ครับ
of,
แต่ว่า
Swifties, Annie.
พอดีเว
This
น่า
time
ตัด
around going for a little bit more of the damage vibe. Which
น่า
I
จะ
don't
กำลัง
mind.
ตัดอยู่
It's just a little bit of a change. We know that Chovy does really like having a bit of added movement speed.
And the dash.
And the well, I mean, obviously he's going to play dash.
Yeah,
That's
mandatory at this point.
yes.
Second item completed there for Canyon with the Sundered Sky, so he feels pretty strong right now.
ถ้าที่วันได้ท็อปคนใหม่พี่ยังเชียร์โดรานอยู่ไหมครับเชียร์แต่พี่คิดว่าถ้าเกิดโดรานออกจากทีวันตอนนี้น่าจะไปอยู่พวกแบบยุโรปอเมริกาแล้วแน่นอนอะ
Being a little bit more aware. I said being a little bit
แก
more
น่าจะไป
aware.
ทรงนั้นเลย
Okay, well,
หรือ
Chovy's
ไม่ก็
going to
จี
get
นนะ
discovered by Cuz, but Cuz not going to go underneath the turret this time around. Now just going to come on over. Does manage to get the smite down onto Chovy. Cease and desist is up in 3 seconds time as Effort is going to move in as
แล้ว
well.
มันต้องเลือกทหารอะไร
Alright,
กัน
how do we magic our way out of this one is you don't. That's the answer as he is just
แต่ว่าได้
eliminated
ป้อมบ
by
นคุ้ม
aiming.
นะ
This just feels more personal. I think after
3
game
น่าจะ
one
ได้
and
ป้อ
what
ม
he
บน
did
นะ
in the ML justified. but it's not exactly a good trade in a situation where Gen.G are going to take this tier 2 inner.
And the outer in mid is so close to going down.
Yeah.
I'm going to say probably not worth, as KT did have a lead.
อ๋อโดลานมี2 ปี
now they do not. This is going to help pull it back, but I think it'll be about 1,000 gold in Gen.G's favor regardless.
I think just so. Oh, TP coming in.
All right.
Kind of get in range of the Wukong.
Decent assist. Does manage to find him here as the Weaver's Wall comes on through. There's a public execution though as they're looking to try and get on top of Canyon, but he makes his way out to relative safety. Cuz's health bar is now too low. And the rest of KT, I think they're going to have to back away. Flash out from Perfect. No equalizer. And Keen is going to back away and let them live. Looks like Baron not going to be on the cards. It's only 21 minutes into the game, but man, this is so much jostling for position. I can't believe no one died.
Yeah, I mean, they were looking for it. KT just gunning after Canyon, thinking if they get this jungle kill, they could maybe just go for the Baron. But in the end, not able to take him down. Keen's such a massive threat at this point of the game, and they have to respect the turnaround potential. Level 15 for Keen right now is very scary. Second item completed. And with Dragon in 45 seconds, this is a major point of the game.
Yeah. Well, as far as ultimates are concerned, cease and desist is quite a ways away. There is a curtain call and a magnet storm, which could be important for KT, but on the other side, it's just Tibbers and a depth charge. So Gen.G also a little bit worse for wear as far as that is concerned. Great buffer, but now going to get tagged, and Duro gonna have to flash to get out of the way.
Keen ช่วยโอ้ย
in the end. Did have to invest the equalizer for it though, as now Canyon could be in a little bit of trouble. Cuz trying to move himself out of the way as Chovy realizing that he has to teleport to get out of this one, and will be able to do that. So just a pick, but a lot invested in order to get it.
Yeah, I think Gen.G can fight this 4v5. With the fact that the equalizer and the curtain calls down, it's a lot of power budget unavailable. I think there's still a chance they can take this.
Well, let's see whether they go for it. You can see them lurking in the area as Jonah Strong does try and keep us on our toes. Canyon gets in there, Effort with the Shattering Strike. This is going to be a 50-50 most likely, but there's the cease and desist, and Ruler doing so much damage with that Dawning Shadow. There is the steal from Canyon, and Cuz goes down as well. It's a disaster for KT. As, yeah, the Golden Flamethrower is also going to be removed. It's a double for Chovy. And you were right, Ox. Yeah, I think they could have taken that 4v5.
I'm glad they could prove me right. Canyon goes into the pit, and the focus ends up being on him to try and stop the smite, but he just ults, causes so much disruption. The rest of the team are free hitting in this situation. This one from Duro, he's trying to play around the banana brush, and there was a lot of that last game from Chovy. I think KT got a little sick of it.
อาจจะเป็นเพราะว่าใช้ equalizer ไปแล้วนะมั้ง
from Keen, and this is significant because this essentially forces the equalizer.
Yeah.
So even though Duro goes down, you force another big budget ultimate, and then in this fight, so much focus is on Canyon to try and deny him access, but we get the Wukong Annie combo just melting Effort and Cuz here, and then Roulette, he's just moving forward and just free hitting in this situation. Keen is just such a monster, so hard to deal with, and not only are they not able to prevent the smite, but they also just hard lose the fight.
Yeah. And yeah, move and shoot. That's all Ruler was doing. Kind of untouched. Good sidestep on the last seismic shove, but that was the first time that he was in any sort of danger or under any sort of fire from KT. And KT do need to deal with this center. As this game goes on, she's going to become more and more of a problem already with 2 items completed. As Cuz looking for Duro once again. Cease and desist on to Ruler though, as I think they have done their own work, but the bear is going to come down from the sky. And Cuz able to get himself out of the way just now as Canyon moving on in. Dawning Shadow avoided. Thereby the and Effort able to crash his way out of there. Man, the fancy footwork here from KT. Kind of working. Pulls him back. And Keen.
โอ้ยได้มาคีนโอ้ยคิดว่าจะตาย
Take down Effort, but now the depth charge onto Perfect comes in, and the curtains have been called.
ชิวจัด
The decoy gonna block a lot of bullets, but Gen.G will be able to walk their way out. And it's a 1-for-1 in the end.
Yeah, but losing Keen definitely does not feel good in this situation, and just not a great played fight from Gen.G. So this is a mistake from Ruler, because he actually pops his Shroud, and then he can't actually be ulted by Cuz, but he starts attacking. And that gives Cuz vision to ult him, so he has to flash over the wall. He should have just walked away. Duro would have been fine for a little bit longer. And then the ensuing fight, they try to chase them down, but this seismic shove that comes in after, so first they get the root, and then BDD dashing in to get that flick. So nice. And Keen Still very scary.
คือ effort เลือดก็ตอนแรกโอเคอะแล้วพอแบบเซลวีก็คือกูตายได้ไงวะ
doesn't have flash, so he's a much more viable target going into the next fight.
And aiming as well. Mortal Reminder is completed, and he's getting closer and closer to Infinity Edge's item number 4.
Yeah, didn't go for the Storm Razor third, so wants to get that Armor Pen and IE online. As we know, Jin really benefits from those items being completed.
Yep, I respect it. 4-0-2 on this Jin. So he is definitely what KT are going to be relying on here. Gen.G with that soul point though, minute and a half on this next dragon. Mountain Soul will make the Jin's life a living hell, trying to get through all of these shields over and over again. And KT, it's not like they have a lot of, tank busting necessarily. There is a Mortal Reminder obviously still there, but Jin is not known for being able to kill the bulkier targets, and everyone's going to kind of be a bulky target here for Gen.G if they do manage to lock down that Mountain Soul. Still, only about 2,500 gold, the advantage here for Gen.G. This is certainly the closest one we've had so far today out of the 2 games that we have had. 4 turrets to 3, some standing gold there for KT, I guess you could say.
Closest of 2 is not impressive.
It's not, it's a 50-50, isn't it?
Yeah.
One will be closer than the other.
But you're not inaccurate, so that's
there you go.
Thing.
That's the kind of stats that I'm into. Just give me the obvious and I'll say it.
So you can see KT getting control of the
แล้ว
area.
ทีวันนะกว่าจะชนะ Gen.G ได้เหนื่อยยากเราต้องมาเจอกับมันนี่ก็โอ้โหถ้าสมมติว่าเข้าไปนะ
So wanting to get a recall in, but it's a little bit late. Not sure you're gonna have time for that. And that means that every ward Gen.G clears out here can't be replaced. So really makes it awkward for KT. They give up control of the area. The sweeper's gonna find another one, and suddenly KT just have no vision of the area.
Very dark right now.
You get the recall coming in from Effort, fully stocked on those regular wards. Doesn't get a control ward though. I think you could have sold a control ward if I'm being honest there.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Control wards very cheap when you have the support class.
แต่ BO5 ครับยังไม่จบแบบเร็วๆนี้แน่นอน
Effort is now moving towards Keen, looking for a bit of an angle here as he doesn't find the shattering strike. There's the crash down as public execution not going to connect. Cuz trying to get himself out of there, but Canyon finds the back line. He's just going to get executed by the Dawning Shadow. Decent flick there from PDD, but they've missed out on so much of their damage now. As KT, I mean, the equalizer did absolutely nothing, and now the piercing darkness from Ruler will be able to keep everyone safe. Gen.G just moving forward like a freight train.
Getting control of the area, just to deny any chances of Cuz moving in and stealing this one. Duro's playing bouncer, as is Keen.
All right.
And this could just be sold for Gen.G.
It should be. And it feels so methodical from Gen.G today. This feels like last year where they were just kind of winning everything forever and there just wasn't a whole lot of doubt. That's what Gen.G kind of make me feel like now. The last game, a little bit of a different story. This one, slow moving, but definitely dominating.
So they try to go aggressive on Keen, but it's kind of half-hearted, and Canyon finds beautiful flank behind, aiming, ends up flashing in a straight line, and is still pulled out by Duro, and immediately the fight is over. You've lost your Jin, who you want to be sitting back at max range. It was just a beautiful flank angle from Canyon there. And I am going to say something. I criticized the lack of control ward before. I think it's a bug with the overlay.
Oh, okay.
No way. Both supports don't have control wards now. So I apologize.
There's also a control ward in his inventory, and it would be in the
yeah, I apologize for any slander towards Effort. I'm sure he had a control ward when he recalled.
Yep.
Apologies for that from me.
I was a bit confused as well.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to say anything because I just didn't. I also didn't know whether the overlay was okay. All right. We do now have Gen.G positioned around the Baron. And I'm just getting so frightened for what Ruler's going to be capable of as this game continues. He's now got another Zeal for 3.5 items that he's put together.
Yeah, once he gets rapid fire, it just becomes obnoxious. You can just harass people from such a long distance away, closing on 80 stacks.
Yeah.
This is the point where really it starts to become significant. And a big difference between this current center and the fasting center we used to see is you get levels, you get gold. I think one of the issues I often had with teams playing fasting center is they would struggle to find that transition point when you actually start farming and stop fasting. It's but with just farming in this situation, Ruler is very strong, approaching on level 16 and trying to threaten here and approach this Baron, but
Could be
8,000
dangerous. Perfect has a
7,000
decent angle for the equalizer as well as they get a nice flick back onto Duro. Public
เอเม
execution
ซ่า
trying to
ตี
be
มัน
avoided.
ใช้ยากขึ้นเยอะ
If it was the old one, that would have connected, but it's a lot slower now after the nerfs. So Gen.G start the Baron back away, trying to
แล้ว
find an
ทำไม
engage
ก็
and
ไม่รู้ว่าอันติแม่ง
unsuccessful
ใช้
with it.
ยากมากอ่ะเอเมซ่า
It is kind of frustrating though for KT, right? Because now Gen.G are out of combat for a couple of seconds, and then they get a big old shield back again.
Yeah.
It feels like all of that work that KT did to try and soften up Duro is kind of doing nothing at all. Infinity Edge finally completed here for aiming, though he does do damage now.
I mean, considering how bursty these compositions are, the mountain
79
shield goes a
stack
long
แล้วครับ
way, especially to real
Senna, Ruler.
IE has just come in for aiming though, which is the big spike. So he's going to feel very strong on the back of that. But I think Ruler should have rapid fire done. If not on his next recall, very close. I think he's probably waiting to have enough gold to recall.
Yeah, he's on red buff right now, so probably will just be taking that and heading on over there, unless he needs to kill a popcorn chicken or a minion wave in order to get that little bit of extra money. That's all right, a little bit of a stunned effort, but he's able to walk his way out. Too much of an issue there. All right, and here's that moment. Ox, that rapid fire cannon is going to be put together, so 4 items equalizing.
ลิงตัวนี้มันเดือดจริง
On to Ruler.
And I think this
Shut down
feels good
700
on the center because suddenly you can actually put down your damage
ใครมันจะสู้ทีมชาติเกาหลีได้วะ
without being in engage range, particularly off like a
พระ
flash
เจ้า
ult because I mean a flash ult would catch you, but you're far enough away that you can flash out and he's just miles away from everything.
Yeah.
But just an ult. Pose can't just ult you as soon as you start ulting him. You have enough range with the rapid fire.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Canyon is going to get flicked back. BDD able to dash
ต้องแฟด
cannon, but doesn't have an inner
ไม่แฟดละ
turret here. Just able to run fast enough, was about to get on his surfboard, so everything is all right. But still, bit of a
ทีม
jump
ไทย
scare
ที่
there
มี
for
พี่บอ
BDD.
ด5 คนครับ
A little bit spooky at this point in the game as well. You can see Gen.G fully setting up around this Baron. They don't want to make it come down to an Elder flip. Would rather set up this objective with Ruler's range as well. So hard for KT to step
ไม่รู้
up.
จะเปิดยัง
No
ไง
Cyclone now, though, as that was used on BDD for not a whole
ถ้า
lot
เปิด
of
ตอนนี้
gain.
ได้ Perfect พร้อมแล้ว
Might be a bit
Position
of an angle,
อ้อม
and
มาแล้ว
KT, I
Perfect
think they think so too. Teleport
Ooh.
comes in from BDD. Duro off to the side. Canyon with his Guardian Angel. Still up and at the ready. Gen.G looking for it here. As Cuz can always pull the trigger.
BDD ยกไม่ได้เลยคุณผู้ชม
The
อุ๊
anchor
ย
goes wide though.
ดู
Deadly
โล่
Flourish connects onto Duro. Is now
แรง
throwing
เอ้ย
harpoons around and
อุ๊ย
Duro
อุ๊ย
gets
อุ๊ยอุ๊ย
punched by Cuz. Equalizer and Duro just
ดูโล
walks up
ตาย
the whole way.
แต่ว่าเสียอันตีไปหาดูโลอีกแล้ว
It's but it's a massive bear from the sky from Chovy.
Oh.
And it's now Keen able to dash around the battlefield.
เจนจีแม่งแหวกกลางอ่ะแหวกกลางออกปุ๊บแล้วรุบเข้าไปทีเดียว
So much
ได้
of
มา
the
3
focus from KT was on this Nautilus.
ดูโล
They
บอกอะไร
lost
ทำไม
track
ต้องเป็นกูด้วยวะเนี่ย
of the small gill with the bear, and Chovy just comes in and gets a humongous ult. Devastating all of KT. We can see how
เนี่ยเปิดทุกคนแบบถอยเลย
trying to find an engage on a BDD is
ให้ดูโล
unsuccessful.
โดนแป๊บนึงอะ
But they move forward.
แล้ว
They
พอ
kind
เคย
of
เข้ามา
just
ปุ๊บก็
beeline
ยัง
in.
ไม่
And look at this clump that ends up coming round to the top
แล้วพอ
side.
คีนเปิดปุ๊บ
The follow-up there. Chovy is
สวย
massive.
จัดเลยว่ะ
Triple stun instantly ends the fight. That was beautiful from Gen.G. Keen
ทอม
and
แย่แล้ว
Chovy
วะฮัลโหล
working
ทอม
in perfect unison
ว่า
there.
แย่แล้ววะ
Not to mention Ruler there as well. Always able to offer that damage
เขากลับ
over
มา
the
อีกแล้ว
top.
อะ
So really nicely done. Great wombo combo, but KT
พี่น้องที่พัดพลาดเข้ามาอีกแล้วอะ
as far as the top side of the map is concerned. 30 seconds until this Elder Drake.
What's crazy there is that all the top side of KT had fire.
Oh no! Cyclone comes down yet again. Effort knows that he has to invest everything just to keep himself safe. And that's a decent shattering strike, but another Cyclone does come in. And now the rest of Gen.G are closing. Effort will be able to get himself out of there relatively safely, but look at how far they've been pushed away from this Elder Pit.
Yeah, pushes them away, and even though you burn the Cyclone, it also burns Effort's Flash and Ultimate, which are big team fighting tools as well. So you're feeling great about this, continuing this siege, and the center with the Rapid Fire is a monster in these siege setups. The Static Shiv as well, very annoying to deal with.
Yep, you can see aiming, just walking incredibly slowly, trying to escape all of this as Effort now at least has his health bar back.
โอ้ยโชวี how oh my god this guy โอ้โหเคิร์ดแฟตต่อยเข้ามาโชวีกดนาฬิกาแฟตต่อยนะไม่ได้แฟตอันตีนะ
So it's going to be hard to find a window. Ruler playing pretty aggressive.
Oh, has to flash.
That was
ไม่เก่งไงยังไม่เห็นโชวีแกโดนดีๆยกเลยแกโดนยกไม่ยังวะแอนนี่อะแกเหมือนยังไม่โดนเลยนะเว้ย
They have to make some headway quickly.
Oh well, the rest of Gen.G are still going to be here. The public execution right into the back line just manages to skewer aiming, and Katie's able to lock him down in the end as well. Perfect now trying to get something done. Goes gold in the last moment, but does nothing at all as far as damage. And now Chovy looking to try and prove it against PDD once again. This is going to be the inhibitor turret going down, and this should be the end of the game and match point already for Gen.G.
Gen.G end up crushing KT there. They try and approach to contest the Elder, but they get decimated. Keen and Chovy absolutely on fire in this game, and BDD last one alive on the Nexus will stay alive.
มันก็มีโอกาสแต่เป็นไปได้แหละแต่แม่ง
The last game was
วัน
KT
นี้
off
เจน
to
จี
a
คือ
great
ฟอร์มแม่ง
start. This game really felt like Gen.G had all of the cards, the entirety of the time. The chokehold over this one, and I'm wondering what Pony's message is going to be to Dgon now.
ทำทุกอย่างแทงให้
I think Canyon had a pretty phenomenal game on the Wukong on this one, but also just the solo lane. His Keen was such a problem. Even if they try to focus him, was a big issue. Chovy was making big plays in game 1 and game 2. That triple Tibbers was just massive. And we were talking about how both team compositions had this, engage with a long-range follow-up. The execution from Gen.G was just a level above.
Certainly was, and I feel like the utilization of Rumble in these team fights didn't necessarily work out, but the way sort of Gen.G played around the equalizer, not actually funneling in anywhere, they were the ones that made sure that all of their ducks were in a row, and then just picked their targets and destroyed them. You can see, able to create a very, very large gold lead towards the very end of that game, but it was very slow and methodical after that mid-game where KT were able to find some advantages. However, ladies and gentlemen, this is a best of 5.
กำลังไวรัลที่ทำคุยอ่ะแล้วมันก็เลยเป็นอย่างเงี้ยดู
KT were in a best of 5 and they were down 0-2. They came back and won the series, so don't worry. This could still
มันแต่งรูปบนอะไรจริงรูปไปแค่นี้รูปเป็นอย่างเงี้ยแต่นี่มันแต่งหรอหน้าซีดอะไรก็ไม่รู้ว่าแต่งหรอ
Let's go to a short break where we get back to space. Going to let us know whether it's going to be possible.
Comp is not chase comp, and again, it's in a very similar fashion. They see somebody out of position, and they feel like they have to go now. They have to kill him. They can't just go with the setup, go with the slow fight, use their comp well.
Yeah, I really like the pre-plan. I think you should know what's gonna happen next, anyways, right? We do have Rel and Rumble. Guys, let's look for the setup and look for the team fight. But they didn't. They just look for the kill, hunt for the kill. That's not the point.
Well, it's 2 games now where KT's pre-plan has been good, but the execution has not. But guys, it's 2-0, and it is still ripe for a reverse sweep, which KT is known to do. Let's see what happens here in game number 3.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for that breakdown of game number 2. And you're exactly right there, Dgon. We are poised to do the KT special, where they just come back from the brink, like they did last week.
Tough task, tall ask, but it starts with this game.
Oh, I thought you were going to keep the rhyme.
That's
tough task, tall ask.
Drink from your flask?
Yeah, or let's go somewhere and bask. Yeah, I didn't have anything either, but I thought that maybe you'd be able to find some magic there.
Rhyming past 2 it gets harder and harder.
What, 3? Okay, the Varus is going to be taken away once again. We're going to have Oriana and the Cassiopeia, but we've got a bit of a side switch.
ตอบคำถามวันละ10,000วันละ20คำถามก็ได้แล้วพี่ว่าคำถามละ X ไม่ต้องกาแฟเมล็ดกาแฟอร่อยๆนะพี่ชอบกินของ One Two Coffee อ่ะ
See how things evolve in terms of draft. In this
อันนึง
one,
อ่ะ
KT
มัน
backs
จำชื่อไม่ได้
against the wall. But at this point, the
ล
amount
อง
of
สั่ง
picks taken away,
One
we
Two
would
Coffee
see
แบ
a
บ
typical best
กาแฟแบบ
three that
เมล็ด
goes
กาแฟ
to
อ่ะ
three games in
ลอง
the
ค่อยๆไล่กิน
LCK.
มันมีซองเล็กๆอยู่
Not too much
ชอบอันไหนก็
pressure. I feel like
ค่อย
the champion pools
สั่ง
as
เป็น
of
อัน
yet.
ใหญ่ แต่พี่รู้สึกว่าสั่งเป็นอันเล็กอร่อยกว่าสั่งเป็นอันใหญ่กาแฟเพราะว่าสั่งเป็นอันเล็กใช่ป่ะมันอาจจะอันใหญ่มันโดนอากาศด้วยมั้ง
And the Jarvan was something that was retained as a Gen.G ban throughout the series, a bit of a cuz special.
Yep, Nocturne is available as well. Was banned in the second game, but not the first. So we'll see where they do decide to go. I imagine Jarvan is probably still going to be the ban, and instead the Ashe taken away.
Yeah, so denying away the potential for Ashe Seraphine. Ashe Seraphine Jarvan can be very powerful, but obviously with KT on first pick, they're not going to get all of it. But I think the thought process was, if you go Jarvan, it's awkward for us to go Ashe Seraphine because Jarvan's great into that, and we don't want you to get Jarvan Ashe Seraphine. So they give over the Jarvan. They're willing to do that, and looking to trade first and foremost, looking at the Nar.
แล้วพอประมาณเกม3ก็จะเริ่มแบนเวนเพราะจะเลือกนาเป็นอย่างนี้ตลอดเลย
Yeah, it's a bit of a fun one. We often criticize blind Nar, but with Fearless and the fact that there has been that Vayne ban. Could be one of these options here for Keen, and he will be able to lock that one away. Now, Canyon can go for an answer to the Jarvan now, or they could take another priority pick if they would like to. It's around game 3 where we start to see earlier lock-ins of bottom lane, so it might be half a bottom lane that Canyon could decide to go with here, anticipating that Aiming and Effort could be locking in their champions. But instead, Neferi going to be picked up, and he's going to be the choice into the J4.
I think it makes sense if you're leaving the J4. Neferi obviously does not feel really threatened by J4's very telegraphed CC that you can easily outplay. You can dash outside the Cataclysm, you can dash outside his Flag and Drag, or just go on target. Canyon, but a great game too. Gonna feel very confident on this pick.
39 เดือนคุณครับ
KT just immediately slamming down Yunara Lulu. Thought process here is that Vi is
กิน
gone.
เมนูอะไรซูดคอฟฟี่ก็อเมริกาโน่ธรรมดา
They
ได้แหละ
deny the Lulu Neferi combo that we've seen be quite potent. Also, if you're sharp in the Lulu ult, you
อัน
can
นี้เจนจีต้องชนะต้องไปเจอชนะไปเจอทีวันพรุ่งนี้ครับพรุ่งนี้ทีวันบ่ายโมงนะฮะถ้าเจนจีชนะเกมนี้ก็ไปเจอทีวันพรุ่งนี้เลยฮะจบไวเลยอ่ะ3 โมง 4 โมงจบอะไรเงี้ย
Lysandra
ลิซัน
without
ดา
anything
แบบ
showing
ที
would
วัน
be
เหรอ
a crazy choice here. We saw it yesterday. Faker actually having a turnaround performance on that one.
So we were saying point and click CC is being taken away with Nautilus and Lysandra.
เขาบอกว่าวิธีเก็บเมล็ดกาแฟเวลาซื้อถุงใหญ่มาดีสุดคือเก็บแบ่งเอาไว้ในถุงเล็กแล้วก็ทำให้มันสูญญากาศแล้วเข้าช่องฟีด
In solo queue from a lot of the pros have been playing Lysandra top, Lysandra support
โคตรยากเลยว่ะ
with Imperial Mandate syncing so well with her kid. So Chovy gonna get his hands on that.
ไปเจอพี่ๆทีวัน
as well. Feel great about it.
What do you mean he gets to build Rocket Belt? Like he could play Yone, he'll build Rocket Belt.
You're not wrong.
That's just how it would go. As Caitlyn going to be taking away the Aurora.
อาเซียไม่ถูกเลือกแล้วเพราะว่าแม่ง
answer to this Lysandra theoretically.
มันฟาร์มเยอะแล้วก็ไม่ค่อยประสบผลเท่าไหร่เฟเกอร์โชว์เมื่อวานแล้วว่าอาเซียที่ไม่ได้ฟาร์มเลยเป็นยังไงเมื่อวานนี้แม่งแย่จริง
in the Renekton matchup that we have seen actually picked into Na and the other way around. There seems to be a bit of a gentleman's agreement. I actually think Renekton would be very strong for KT in this draft.
Oh, the respect ban.
อุ้ยแบนโซอี้ของดีๆด้วยที่พวกนี้มันBDD อดเล่นครับผมเหลืออะไรให้เล่นอ่ะ BDD ลิซันด้ามันแพ้ตัวอะไรวะ
We haven't seen that much up, but can get out the Cataclysm. We saw a lot of Corki into the Yunara, but without Nami, feels a lot weaker now. I mean, Nami still exists, but the Imperial Mandate synergy with her is gone. Lucian gonna come through his ban, so no Lucian Milio.
เอเลียนโซได้ปะวะ
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could even go like Callista in this situation, I feel.
Well, that's a possibility. They
do
kind of want damage. I mean, I know there's an Neferi.
เมลไม่มีแล้ว
Lysandra is in a massive amount.
แต่หน้าทวิตเตอร์เฟดทวิตเตอร์เฟดได้อยู่ครับพูดทวิตเตอร์เฟดปาไพ่ใส่หมาไม่ได้ลำบากอีกไม่ได้โหซ้ายไม่ได้แล้วทวิตเตอร์เฟซตรงนี้มาไม่ได้แน่นอนพี่ว่าเอเลียนโซดูได้นะเว้ยก็คือแบบพอมันพุ่งเข้ามาใช่ป่ะก็วางพื้น E เลยตรงหมา
Zyricon likely going to be the combo for Gen.G. And we're going to see perfect pick up the Renekton into the Gnar. We've seen this matchup so many times. The Renekton does have that early pressure, but will get outskilled in the side lane. LCK Renekton is pretty good at applying that early pressure when Gnar's range is short. And now the mid lane pick for BDD.
And so the Ahri pick feels awkward, right? Lysandra often picked into the Ahri, so that doesn't feel like the way you want to go. Instead, gonna be more focused on the later game team fights with a lot of scaling damage on this Victor.
Got to be something like Azir or Victor in this situation. Just play at a distance, be that secondary carry.
อาเซีย
inevitably just focus down
เล่น
aiming.
เจอลิซันดาไม่ได้เลย
Going for the Victor. So one little concern with that is that level 6 there's a
คือ
lot
นึก
of
ภาพว่า
threat
พุ่งเข้ามาแล้วโดน
from enemy mid-jungle.
แข็ง
It's 2 targeted ults. There's no outplay potential if they just both press R onto you and you are on a mobile mid lane mage. That can be a bit vulnerable. So I think for Gen.G, I think in terms of their composition, they have a lot of engage power on that mid jungle, but they need to get the ball rolling. They both takes that kind of feast or famine in the Neferi and the Lissandra. And you also, as much as you have the Xayah as like a late game carry, it's into Jarvan and Lulu. And if he just cataclysms you, and then there's a wild growth as well for follow-up, that can be a tough time.
Yeah.
This is definitely not the easiest composition for Gen.G to pilot. It's going to come a lot down to their mid-jungle being successful. And then the other side, I think it's just scale up and play around aiming being strong and Victor being strong. Make sure you don't fall prey to illy shenanigans from this Lissandra and Neferi. Just don't fall behind too much for KT. And I think you should be strong in the team fights.
See what they can do here, as I think that this is a decent opportunity for KT to try and make their way back. You mentioned already, I think that as far as the draft is concerned, they are feeling pretty fantastic. So it has to be just that turnaround of momentum, right? So much of what happens in like situations where you're 0-2 down, it's not about the draft. It's about whether or not you can get your heads back into the game and make something happen. KT did so well in game number 1, gonna need to replicate it.
perfect spot ward
All right, here we are, potentially the final game
ข้างล่างนี่คือ
of this
อินเว
series.
ดเข้ามา
Just
วาด
to
แบบ
remind everyone,
เบิ่
the
ม
winner of this goes on to face T1 for the
แล้ว
final
เห็น
ticket to
แคนยอน
Daejeon
นะครับ
and
อุ๊ย
to
แคนยอน
MSI. That is
พยายาม
why
ม
we
องอยู่
call
ว่า
this tournament Road to MSI.
โดนเวทไหม
Afterwards, you get to MSI.
เห็นแล้วครับ
Although actually, should
ฉลาดมาก
we have
แคนยอน
renamed it because it looked like it's a train track to MSI based on our little train.
ตีตัวเล็กก่อน
Actually, a road.
ใครได้ตัวเล็กเยอะกว่ากันคนนั้นชนะ
You know, last year,
แล้วก็1 2 3
MSI was abroad, so
True. So you'd have to take a plane.
เป็นอันจบ
or a
turn
boat, I guess.
Yeah. So it's like
ของเคลส
it's voyage to MSI
Yeah.
last year. Now it's like train to MSI.
Can you voyage not on a boat?
I think so.
What's the limit? Because you wouldn't. Would you go on a train?
Can't you voyage anywhere in any way, or is it a boat type thing? I think you have to be on a vessel of some kind.
Yeah, but if someone said, "Oh, I'm going on a voyage to,"
ถ้าเป็นแบบเนี้ย
Daejeon,
ถ้าเป็นเรา
they would get on the
เราจะเลือก
train, wouldn't you be like, "Is that a voyage?"
Yeah.
Does sound
อุ้ย
a bit
แคนยอน
weird.
ฉลาด
I don't
จัด
actually
เลย
know
ว่ะ
what the clear definition of voyage is. Because is it just a synonym to?
It does feel like it has.
คือถ้าเป็นเราอ่ะ ได้แรปเตอร์เมื่อกี้ไปใช่ป่ะ เราก็กังวลว่าที่เลนเราจะต้องสู้ป่ะวะ แต่เหมือนแคนยอนจะเข้าใจเลยว่าแบบเนี้ยป่ายฝั่งยังไงก็ไม่อยากสู้เลนแล้ว เพ
We
ราะว่า
did
มัน
see Cuz invading heavily, trying to challenge the Raptors, but missed out. And now Canyon has taken his Raptors. And I actually like this move. He doesn't go for
Raptor
the
แล้ว
red.
ก็
He just immediately goes for
Golem
the Krugs,
Krug.
which is kind of hidden. Can take this and should hit level 3 as
Ui.
well. So if he needs to fight over the red, he can, or he can just dip out.
Yeah, that's what he's going to look to do as Cuz gets the information, realizes that his
เชี่
Krugs
ย
are no
แล้ว
longer
ไป
there.
กลางด้วยเหรอ
Canyon
ไอ้
actually wrapping around looking for BDD.
ไม่
BDD's
ไม่
wise to it and is going to be able to get back underneath his turret as Cuz still
อุ้ย
has an
ป่า
idea
จังเกิล
as
อัน
to
ดับ
where
หนึ่ง
Canyon is. Canyon will finally back away and it looks like the red buff will go over to Cuz in the end.
ไป
Canyon
ฟาร์ม
still
หมา
a
เอาเล
little
เว
bit
ลแล้ว
ahead
ก็
as far as the tempo is
ไป
concerned.
อินเวด
Flipping
แร
over
ป
this
เตอร์
wall
ปวด
over
ตรง
and
นี้
over
มี
again, and there is
เพอร์เฟกต์มา
Dagger
ช่วย
number
ต้อง
one
ปล่อยว่ะ
going to connect. Perfect moves down
โอ้ย
though.
ลุมว่ะ
That
น้อง
should be
ใครจะบอกว่าลุมว่ะน้องโอ้โหพี่อุตส่าห์แบบเดิน
I think the start was pretty good from Canyon, but I
เดิน
think he
เถื่อน
spent
ๆเลย
a
แบบ
lot of
นี้
time
คือโดนลุม
hovering
ว่ะ
around,
แล้วไม่
trying to
ขีด
look
เลือ
for
ด
the
โล
red
อ่ะ
buff when Cuz was already there. And I think if you've just gone from Krog straight to his jungle, would have been better off. I think as well
ก็คง
because
ต้อง
Perfect had that early
ต้องปล่อย
pride to really contest the scuttle. And
โก
now
ไอ
you have a
ไอ
situation
ปู
where
ล่างไม่
Canyon
ปล่อย
really
ครับ
wants clearing through his
ไปเอาแรป
jungle,
เตอร์เพราะว่าปล่อย
which is
ปู
obviously
ล่าง
in a
อ่ะ
good position
สมควร
to get those camps up.
แต่ว่าแรปเตอร์ไม่ปล่อย
he really wants to get
การ
something
เดิน
done,
เขา
whether it's get this scuttle or get a gank off, because he just doesn't have much to do right now.
เอาจริงนะเราจะได้เห็นแบบ
beelining towards the bot side
ภาพ
of
แบ
the
บนี้
map.
บ่อย
He
เว
would
ลาแบบ
love to be able to get a gank in here
เวลา
onto Ruler
แบบ
Zero.
เขาเรียกว่าไงเวลาเป็น Gen.G แข่งอะมันจะแบบภาพมันจะแพนมาที่แคนยอนลายการเดินป่าแบบนี้บ่อย เหมือนแบบว่าลายเดินป่าแกจะเหมือนกับว่าเดาได้ว่าเขาจะเป็นอะไรจะเกิดอะไรขึ้น
So Takluz does actually smite there and managed to equalize.
Decent move, but it is going to be Rift Scuttler over to Cuz here.
Yeah. So Cuz was trying to get something to happen there, just at least take away the Crow.
เฮ้ยมันกลับมาอีกแล้วบ็อกกี้ชีท V2
lost down some time, trying to contest the scuttle and hanging around on the top side. Could have maybe been a situation where Cuz was cut out more of the game if he'd played it a bit faster. But either way, both junglers in a fine position.
Yep, not too
แล้วกลับไปรีเซ็ตไม่งั้นจะฟาร์มช้าแล้วต้องไปเอาดาเมจหน่อย
Head over there if he wants to, but the Raptors are going to be his priority. BDD having a very good time in this lane so far.
กลับไปเอา
Chovy not going to be able to fully equalize the minions with a full clear on this one, as he does actually go in there. Ow. Yeah, that's it's a lot of
Yeah, not having the easiest time in lane so far on the Lissandra into the Victor. Victor has been bullying out all of the matchups.
ดูดิ
we've seen him in
เขาไม่ได้ไปแผ่นดูในเลนอื่นเลยเว้ยมานั่งดูแคนยอนเดิน
And
ฟาร์ม
that is
ป่า
the point where things really get scary for the Victor when there's a threat of just being ulted.
มันไม่ได้เกิดขึ้นบ่อยนะเว้ย
Canyon not quite
กับ
there
ทีมอื่น
yet,
อะ
but those two in unison will be a major threat.
Not to mention just Canyon showing up and then having a CC target to hit double daggers into. That feels like a lot of damage, and maybe not something that
แล้วว้าวกลับบ้าน
can handle. Right now,
แค่รีเซ็ตทำไมวะเพราะว่าข้างบนมันได้ไม่ได้แน่ๆเพราะว่าเพอร์เฟกต์จะ6แล้ว
And KT
ก็แบบบูทาลิสเตอร์
moving themselves into a slight advantage, but they also have a composition
เปลี่ยน
that
เป็น
scales like a fine wine.
เอามีคอนโทรลอยู่แล้วเนาะ
And I think that they are going to be feeling
ไอ้
pretty
สแก
happy
น
with how this game is positioned right now.
อุ้ยสแกนไม่เจอหวานครับ
I'd agree. We see Canyon moving in, but is spotted on a lot
เอา
of
อีกแล้ว
vision in this situation.
5 นาทีที่เกมนี้เล่นเป็นแคนยอนแพนไปที่แคนยอนประมาณ3 นาทีแล้ว
Just cleared out. Moving over, the Lulu has been one of his better picks in the past, as the Floor of Doom is not going to be fully followed there by Chovy. Gets him out of the gravity well.
ค้างในกาวิตี้เมื่อกี้นี้น่าจะระเบิดนะ
Frozen Tomb at the ready here for Chovy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, will we get a contest in this dragon?
ต้อ
But
งขออนุญาตปล่อยครับ
BDD
แคนยอน
forces Chovy back. Perfect. Doing what he's done so many times this season, and moving down when he has Prio. The bot lane Prio as well means it's just first dragon pickup for KT. Chemtech dragon as well, so no Chemtech Soul feels pretty good.
Yeah, next one going to be a Cloud. So a few options.
แคนยอนยังไม่สามารถเข้าไปเช็คป่าฝั่ง KT ได้เลยถ้าเกิดไม่ดิสวาร์ดอันเนี้ยต้องดิสวาร์ดอันนี้ก่อนแล้วถึงจะไปเช็คบูเช็คอะไรได้
Kane having a pretty good time in this matchup, although he is behind a little bit actually on farm. Things look like
ช่วยดันกลางครับโชวี่จะได้กลับไปรีเซ็ตมีปัญหาโชวี่ตอนนี้
gonna have to claw his way out and will be able to do so. Obviously, Lissandra not exactly picked for her prowess in the laning phase. A lot more
ตอนนี้แคนยอนยื้อให้แบบBDD มาช่วยได้จะดีมากแต่ว่า
And you know, it was actually Lissandra
เข้าใจอยู่ว่าแบบ
BDD played in Game 5 that upset
มันก็น่าดูแหละแคนยอนแต่ว่าแบบแหม
took down Gen.G.
นี่
there you go.
So
5 นาทีแล้วที่แพนไปที่แคนยอน
Lissandra game I remember when we got some big flanks from BDD on the Hextech Soul. It was actually Ruler who went ballistic in that game as well, I believe. Which is why it came up with great effect. So
yep. Has often been a pretty good option into that one. As Effort takes a lot of damage from Ruler here, playing with his feathers pretty effectively. A little bit of an advantage. I think that aiming should be able to equalize pretty comfortably. Everything is going to be alright, although he is taking a lot of damage here from this Zaya.
โอ้โหแล้วรูเลอร์แก
So incredibly
แก
aggressive.
เทรดโคตรลึกแต่แกไม่โดนป้อมตีนี่เด็กพวกนี้มัน
get that bit of gold in that first plate.
That gravity field goes down. There was a claw put in position, but we're going to watch Canyon and Cuz fighting over these grubs right now. First one should be going over to Canyon. See how confident he is to lock down the next couple. Does still have smite.
แคนยอนยังมีสมัยอยู่โชวี่มาช่วยไม่ได้เลยเจอBDDไล่แบบยับเลยว่ะโอ้โคตรเพนอ่ะอ๋อต้องไปแล้วครับแคนยอน
Just flips over towards his blue buff. And now
โอ้
the
โห
last two growths
เกม
should
นี้
be
มา
going
อยู่ใน
over here.
เคทีมันจะมาเริ่มเก่งหนักๆตอนเกม
He
3
has
วะ
the dominance there as well. There's no hop left for Keen. He has flash, but so does Perfect, and he decides not to pull the trigger.
ไม่
Just
มีนะ
pushes the Nara out of the
ไม่
way.
มีแฟดไป
Forces
แบบ
him
ตี
out of
หนึ่ง
lane,
ที
doesn't have to burn his flash. I think if he goes for that, there's a risk. Keen flashes too. He's happy just applying that pressure. We'll get a plate as well for his trouble, and remains healthy, which means even though Canyon's here, they cannot make a play onto this full health Renekton.
ทำอะไรไม่ได้
Keen now able to at least walk up. That Narbar is in an okay spot, or he will be able to get a bit of health back, but it is still feeling worrying. As you can see why. Like, happy to pick the Renekton into this matchup against the Gnar that we have seen Gnar pick into so many years. The Renekton has been having a little bit of a resurgence in this one.
Absolutely. I feel like that's the thing, is like when we started the season, it was Gnar being picked into Renekton and just having a great time, and then our top laners have just really been finding success on the Renekton in the early levels, even up to this point. And as much as the late scaling can come
Frozen Tomb comes in, and now the combo. BDD in a lot of trouble.
เฮ้ยมาจากไหนเนี่ยดูโล
The charm is great, but BDD gets his health bar back with the wild growth, and KT are able to save their mid lane and hold on to his flash.
That's the crazy thing. He doesn't even have to flash there. Effort comes in to
โอ้โห
save
โคตรนิ่ง
him.
อ่ะแต่ละ
And
คน
those
BDD ก็
big
นิ่ง
budget
จัด
ultimates, 3 actually, with the quickness as well, burn to try and get BDD, and they end up being unsuccessful.
Double Dragon now potentially on the cards, minute and a half until that one is up, so I guess they will have a few buttons back by that stage. But Effort having to run away.
I think it's just one of those situations where if you'd gotten the flash, you'd feel so much better.
โชวี่ไม่รีเซ็ตด้วยว่ะ
and he rods for it.
เฮ้ยเอมิง
Fighting against one another, getting out of the way of the feathers is aiming. Definitely an intelligent maneuver there, as Ruler's going to have to get the heck out of there. Double summon is available for both of these bottom laners, but aiming really getting control of the wave for now.
Yeah, the power of the ultimate so big there in this matchup as well, because it gives you that dash
เอาเลือดมาให้
to outplay the feathers, and aiming puts the pressure down. He's gonna look for a recoil. Circle.
Yes, local value gets the feather storm out of Ruler. Yet another big cooldown that is not going to be there for the dragon fight in 40 seconds time.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the ultimates, the 3 that were burnt onto BDD should be up and available in time, but Rulers certainly will not. And that really makes you wonder if they're going to feel confident to go for a fight around it, or if KT can just pick up a second.
นี่ไง
Pop his ultimate just to get more pressure down on Chovy. Been a lot of ulting for lane.
เจอเดฟไฟทอสแพทหนีเข้าไป
I always associate it with Doinby. I feel like Doinby used to do this all the time, even in his first few years. Where you just pick Victor and then ult wave, ult enemy, just ult for priority. And it's been happening from everyone ever since.
If I'm being honest, I feel like after last game when Chovy was anti-ulting onto the BDD.
เฮ้ยไม่มีอันตินะ BDD ไม่มีอันติ
True.
โอ้ลิซาด้ามีอันตินะสู้ตรงนี้อาจจะไม่ดีแคนยอนน่าจะแรงพอหรือเปล่าแต่ลูลูมีอันติน่าจะไม่ทันลูลูมันเคาน์เตอร์นาฟิลี่อ่ะมันพุ่งเข้าไปแล้วมัน
Perfect now waiting in this try brush, just wanting to grab onto this wave. Keen doesn't really want him to do this, but Keen will have to go back to the wave if he wants to be able to farm it. So Perfect not feeling too worried, just taking a little bit of harass and will otherwise be all right. As aiming and Ruler fighting once again. There is the quickness as Duro not quite able to get on top of aiming, who presses a whole bunch of buttons, gets shielded up by Effort. Still has his barrier, but now doesn't have flash.
Oh, Chovy doesn't have TP though. He's recalling, so he's gonna stick around. Aiming's a great target now with no flash, no ult.
Yeah.
Chovy can just go in himself, he's fine.
Wild growth is there for Effort, so maybe that's going to be an angle, but the claw not going to be taken there. So Chovy just going to be backing away.
สีเขียวมังกรนะผมมังกรดินอีกแล้วเฮ้ยมันเป็นไปได้เหรอ
Another mountain soul this game.
Yeah, the TP is enough to
มังกรดินซ้ำมันอีกแล้ว
He's gonna pick up some pressure in the top
ระบบ
lane,
นี้
try
มัน
and
คืออะไร
close
วะ
that
เนี่ย
gap between him and Perfect, and Gen.G opt to not take the fight, which feels risky when you're playing into this Yanara, Lulu, Victor, that you're giving so much
เหมือน
time
มันล็อก
to
แบบ
KT,
มังกร
even
เลย
though it's even in gold, the fact they have 2 dragons
หรือว่ามันล็อก
so
วะ
far away if it's gonna be
คือ
Gen.G,
จะได้แบบว่า
and if it's KT,
วันนี้ก็เป็น
that's
มั
a
งกรดินให้หมดอะไรเงี้ย
another problem.
คนที่ชนะก็คือคนที่แบบไม่ได้ชนะเพราะว่ามังกรนะคือมังกรมันเท่ากันทุกเกม
Aiming now parking himself in the top lane as we do see Cuz looking for an angle towards Canyon, Keen and Duro. And aiming is rotating around now. That is Duro getting over there. The polymorph doesn't really do too much though, as he'd already made it out. So KT
ไม่น่าได้นะนี้
as much pressure as they can. does really feel like they've moved to the front foot as we have entered this mid game now. Perfect here. This bottom lane just trying to deal with Chovy as best he can. A little bit more.
เฮ้ยน้องมันเล่นดีว่ะเพอร์เฟกต์อ่ะ
Yeah, so much
มันไม่
spam
แบบ
from Lissandra.
ไม่ไหวติง
A ton of damage to him, but it is just annoying.
Yep, not to mention she yells at you all the time.
Yeah. Also very difficult to ever really pressure him as a Renekton. So he was trying to be annoying right now. Very specifically.
And successfully.
Yeah.
Very nicely done. Throwing flags around, things like that. F
SN
going to
มาแล้วนะ
recharge the wards.
ดูเลย
And KT
มีมาหน้าพร้อมแล้ว
still just taking it slow and steady. Gold lead though doesn't exist for either team. And you mentioned already, KT very happy because they have the dragons. They also have the majority of grubs. Neutral objectives have been going their way.
So a big thing in this game is I was talking about the mid jungle needing to get a head start for Chovy and Canyon to get some momentum. They really haven't. And we now have the Mikhail for effort. So the Lissandra
อุ้
value
ยโดน
has just immediately dropped quite substantially with that being a thing. And it doesn't actually matter
เล
that
ด
much
ใคร
if
ตึง
you're
กว่า
fed
พี่ให้เป็น
enough
สายยาล่ะ
because the damage is still there when you do your combo. But when you're not ahead of the curve and you pop your ultimate and it just instantly gets cleansed.
ไอ้สายยานี่ตัวตึงเรื่อง objective ด้วยอ่ะ
Oh, there is the frozen tomb. Claw actually doing a lot of work here as Canyon comes on over, ults for the finish. As Perfect does get a bunch of his health back there with the Cold-a-Meek, but that is still going to be the kill, going over to the Nefiri. And first blood, finally, here at 15 minutes.
Bit of a slow starter. We will see KT in response get some damage onto this tower and take a lot of gold into Aiming's pockets. We do see the response is going to be Chovy on the other side of the map, but a lot slower.
Yeah.
This tower and a Herald as bonus for KT, so I think KT feeling pretty happy about this one.
Yeah, I think you'll smile at the cross map as that is going to be Aiming now securing that turret like you were talking about, and closes the gap between himself and Ruler pretty considerably. Ruler also taking some harassment here from BDD on this Victor, who has had a relatively quiet game so far. But we know the damage potential of this Victor is going to be very, very high. Not to mention the resets, expanding his storm,
อุ้ยกลับก่อน
and
พอ
getting
ดี
a
ไม่
whole
งั้
lot
น
of value as this game goes on.
I think obviously
Nice
the
look
Victor's
on
a
me.
mobile, so if you get on top of him, you can explode him. You have the CC to do so. But if you're just laning against him, there's no one who really feels comfortable doing that on the side of Gen.G. He just keeps slamming lasers at you and making it a different
เคทีเก่งจากสมัยก่อนเพราะอะไรนะถึงเข้าชิงเวิลด์เอาจริงเคทีมันก็เก่งแต่มันแบบพอจะได้เข้าไปเวิลด์ปุ๊บแบบแม่งไปเจอทีมทีวันพอมันก็จะแบบตัวเนี้ยเนี่ยถ้าชนะเนี่ยได้เข้าเวิลด์แล้วแม่งเจอทีวันแล้วแม่งก็เกาหัวแก่ๆว่าเฮียทีวันทำไมมาอยู่นี่วะคือแล้วทีวันแม่งก็ตัวไปนั้นที่ได้มามันก็ไปได้เป็นแชมป์เวิลด์แล้วเรานึกภาพดิว่าแชมป์เวิลด์อะมันมาชิงตั๋วใบนี้กับ KT ทำไมวะเนี่ย
Just searching for cracks, you know, trying to get in there, trying to make something happen.
แล้วตอนที่แบบที่วันเจอ KT เพื่อชิงตั๋วเวอร์ใบสุดท้ายอะเกือบไม่ได้มา
That's the big thing. All summoners are available apart from Keen's
คือถ้า KT ได้มาเวอร์พี่ว่าแม่งอันดับแบบ2ไม่ก็3ไม่ก็1ได้เลย1 2 3อะฟอร์มแม่งดีนะเว้ย
Flank angles, good angles of approach is really important.
Why did Keen's flash just go on cooldown?
ส่วน Gen.G อ่ะมันไปถึงพวกเวอร์แล้วล่นเฉยเลยน่าเสียดายตลอดเลยคือมันจะแบบว่างงว่าทำไมล่นกันวะ
Everyone has a flash apart from Keen.
Yeah.
And if you look, it's also like
it's going faster than it should. Yeah, okay. That was a little bit flex.
เหมือนรีเซ็ตกับเกมที่แพ้ไม่ได้ Gen.G.
Find good backline access. They do have a ward actually behind. You can see near the mid tower. This is like a prime TP flank ward. You can see right next to Cuz there. So if KT overextend, that's what they might pounce on.
Oh, Canyon looking for a little bit of an angle here, but doesn't find any of the daggers. And it looks like Gen.G not going to be able to remove this control ward that has been
Gen.G ไม่เหมือน Gen.G ไม่ได้เกี่ยวกับเรื่องพักไม่พัก Gen.G เป็นทีมที่แบบถ้าสมมติว่าแบบสะดุดสักนิดนึงอ่ะมันจะแล้วถ้าแก้ไอ้ปมสะดุดนี้ไม่ได้ภายในเร็วๆด้วยนะมันจะเหมือนมันจะสะดุดยาวเครื่องมันจะสะดุดยาวแต่ถ้าเกิดแก้ได้มันก็จะไม่เป็นไรแล้วไปแก้ในเวอร์ส่วนทีวันมันเป็นทีมที่แบบว่ากูสะดุดมาตลอดอยู่แล้วชิวๆแล้วว่าอะไรก็เกิดขึ้นได้อะ
Cuz now just going to be
แล้ว
throwing flags
ช่างมันเลนช่างมันเดี๋ยวไปทีมไฟเอาแล้วกันแล้วก็ทีมไฟชนะแล้ว
Yeah, I gotta say, Canyon is pretty farmed, pretty far ahead of Cuz. Level 12 on the Neferi.
Oh, Chovy does
โอ้
get the
ครั้ง
circle
3
down.
ครับผมเคิร์ส
Wild growth combo.
โอ้แต่ว่านี่ก็อะไรโดนแล้วโดนกันกาวิตี้ฟิลชูวิพยายามจะเอาเคิร์ส
As the frozen tomb gets Mikhail's immediately, like you were talking
เลือกพยายาม
about.
ทำดาเมจให้อยู่ครับ
Gen.G's health bar is just going lower and lower as there is
อุ้ย
the
ไม่กล้าเข้า
Featherstone
ไม่กล้าเข้า
finds the Arc of Ruin, but it is not
โอ้โห
enough to get any
4-4 ตรงนี้
kills.
ฮะ
Still they push Gen.G away.
Perfect กับ
but
คิม
KT are
ไม่ได้
also
ลั่น
looking
TP
a
ลงมา
little
นะ
worse for wear, even if they do get control of the pit.
Crazy that no one died
So
in
point
that
ครับ
passage of play, but Gen.G getting focused down first. They're trying to
เฮ้ย
contest
มัน
this
ยังไม่จบ
though.
นะ
Canyon
ยังไม่จบนะ
Dealt with the slurp.
โซพอยต์
It's in here a little early, you could say. As now doesn't
แต่ว่า
have the
BDD
untargeted
รีเซ็ตไปแล้วต้องรีบครับผม
back in as Keen's coming on over. That is going to be
สวย
the
จัด
secure
ครับ
of the Drake from Gen.G.
Canyon
denying that
ไม่
soul
ปล่อยมัง
point
ก
from
รแล้ว
KT is now BDD
แค่เสีย
looking
โช
for
วี
the
ถือว่า
Chovy angle as he gets
เสีย
the
ไหม
claw down disappears and now BDD wanting to find
โอ้
what is the
ดู
death
โล
ray going to be there the grand entrance
แก
just to be
ตาย
a
แทนแล้วกัน
hero and he does save Chovy but Duro dies in the process
แล้ว BDD เหมือน
Now
จะ
Keenan
มีปัญหาตรงนี้หรือเปล่า
looking though.
Yep, Gravity Well does
Yeah,
come on
Lawa.
through here as Canyon bounces over the wall. The Gravity
Yeah,
Field not
look at
doing
that.
much of anything at
Whoa.
all as the Hyperproc starting to come in and maybe the KT overextension has begun as Chovy gets his immediate revenge, although he doesn't get an assist.
รู้
Pretty heavy cost to pay. You could see BDD frustrated that they weren't able to get more
เดินไป
kills
ดี
on
นาย
that
แม่งเลย
fight,
เลิศ
and he burns his flash to make that play happen, which is just a 1-for-1. This is after the initial fight has already happened, which was super close. The combat herald gets thrown down because considering the option of going in for the smite and using that as an out, but in the end, the smite comes through and Gen.G just disengage. BDD trying to kill Chovy here. Duro goes for the heal and then shields.
อ้าวเอมิง
Oh no!
หน้า
Aiming
จุ่ม
face
ครับผม
check as you know he tried to press ult and barrier and stuff like that and get himself out of the way as there's the reset as Canyon looks for some daggers onto
What
Effort
the
who
fuck
almost just
is
dies
going
from the
on?
initial hit.
I mean, at this point, with the Cyclo Sword Black Cleaver, you're
คือ
so
เดี๋ยว
strong
นะ
on the
เอมิงเข้าไปหน้าจุ่มทำไมนะ
cooldowns
มัน
extremely low.
บาลอนเหรอ
Flip like,
อะไร
every
วะ
like 3 seconds.
Yep, bouncing
And-
around the battlefield.
Yeah, you have the shred and that percentage
Lulu ก็ไม่อยู่
HP damage on the Cyclo Sword. He's so strong
What
right now, and if he targets aiming, if he targets BDD,
ขายเดียวคงเซ็งเหรอเชื่อวันนั้นดีเคชนะนะ
Already looking worrying here as the flash out from Ruler. Cataclysm for flash. KT will take that one, but there is still a lot further up to go.
Yeah, a good summon of the bin.
Oh dear.
ต้องแฟด
Wait. Solidarity,
ให้ฟอร์
I guess, from aiming support. His effort's just dead.
Guys, that brush isn't worth it.
Yeah, let's not go into that
ไอ้
brush
พุ่ง
anymore.
บ้านี่
KT.
แม่งกินคนไป
I don't know
สอง
what the
คนแล้ว
obsession is, but whatever it is, it's not worth
Aiming's
it.
like, I dropped my candy. I dropped my candy in that brush. Evan, could you go get it for me? As Chovy going to be able to claw his way out of here. That is going to be the tower falling down in mid lane and the whole map opening up for Gen.G. Oh dear. Maybe Pony wasn't
ชิล
correct.
พรุ่งนี้โอ้ยมึงสร้างบาดแผลให้เจนจีสักเกมหนึ่งก็ยังดี
Maybe
อ่ะ
I'm understanding why it's so hard to
โอ้โห
explain.
แล้วพรุ่งนี้เจนจีมันฟอร์ม 3-0 มาแบบนี้มันก็แบบว่า มันก็ล้ำๆมาดิ
Down as well.
อุ้ย
Michaelis
ชู
is
วิ
moving forward as aiming is looking for an
ไม่ได้
opportunity here as Ruler off to the side. Death Ray not going to quite do enough there, but at least Trovy's going to get pushed away.
You know what I find really interesting
What do you find really interesting?
is that we've had Lissandra come quite heavily back in the meta. Not so much, we haven't seen a ton of it yet, but we've seen all the pros playing it. But the build is Blackfire Torch, Rocket Belt, then Imperial Mandate. So you don't get Imperial Mandate till third.
Yeah.
So Chovy, this is just normal Lissandra. Nothing's changed.
It's just it.
Yeah. But playable now because once you get 3 items, it's different.
And also it adds vulnerability, right? So
No, I mean, I'm not denying it's a good 3 item. It's just funny that you play 22 minutes without it.
And I think it's kind of cool that even though he's the only magic source, it's still fine. You know, like some other builds can feel a little bit awkward because like Black Cleaver, for example, and then you've got a bunch of magic damage dealers and you're like, well, what am I doing this for? Whereas the Lissandra definitely very happy to just be boosting damage.
J4 เจอราคาก็ทำอะไรไม่ได้เลย
Very cute. But 2 items are now done here for Ruler. And Chovy is just kind of messing with them. is what it looks like at the moment. As Canyon goes up into the sky to try and avoid the arcane storm, but BDD still doing a lot of damage here. As there's the knock up onto Duro. Cuz looking for the angle there, but he's got Battle Dance. I think Duro is going to be just fine.
เฮ้ยแล้วทำอะไรได้บ้างดูดิ1 นาทียื้อข้าม45 วิทัน
I feel like the Fury is one of these champions where you're so
โอ้
mobile,
โหน่า
so
ยื้อ
hard
สั
to
ก
pin down,
20 วิได้
that
เมื่อ
it
กี้
just
จะเต็ม
makes
เล
you
ย
think there's
แต่ว่า
no
ต้องรีบกลับไป
way
ก
you
ลาง
can ever catch me, even if I'm at the enemy Krugs, and then you die.
Yeah, because you were at the enemy Krugs.
This happened yesterday as well.
Yeah, Krugs were a
คือ
difficult
ยูนาร่าที่ไม่มีอาร์เดนมัน
Specifically
แบ
at
บ
Road to MSI, Krugs are a focal point.
มันยัง
and it
มันยัง
feels
ไม่
like
เก่ง
that
อ่ะมันต้องรอมีอาร์เดนกัน
We had that last year as well.
So fantastic that in the final series we have the Krug Lord waiting.
Oh yeah.
When yesterday it did feel a little
มัน
bit like
ต้องการอาร์เดนอย่างมาก แล้วคุณมิสเตอร์แอฟฟอร์ดยังไม่ได้ครับอาร์เดน
close to the Imperial mandate he is. But 2 seconds on this dragon, another soul point attempt for KT.
ตหมามันไวนะ
He wants power now.
I'll see whether he can
อุ้ย
find
แล้วตำแหน่งไม่ดีอีกแล้วว่าเพอร์เฟกต์
on this dragon, charging up that Q quite
หมา
nicely.
ทันว่ะไอเชื่อหมาทัน
He's got the Mega Nab bar kind of
มา
working
ทัน
out for him as the arcane
บอกแล้ว
storm
ยื้อ
goes
สัก
down
2 วิ
onto
เมื่อกี้ขัง
Kirby. Cataclysm
จบเลยตรงนี้ เฮ้ย
manages to
คิน
get
คิน
him out of there.
คิน
And
คิน
now
คิน
the
คิน
quickness has
คินโน
come
สาม
through.
คินมี
Duro
เซอร์แร
looks
ก
for a bit of an angle, but he's very squishy. Gets
โชวี่
knocked up,
โชว์หน่อย
makes it into the back line.
คีตายไปแล้ว
And down goes
ตรงนี้
Key for the
ตรง
first kill of
แคนยอน
the
เราทำหรือว่า
fight.
แคนยอน
Cody makes his
โอ้
way
โชวี่ได้
forward,
มังกร
holds himself and takes
โอ้
the
โห
dragon.
โชวี่อันตีแล้วก็
Breaks the
ได้มังกร
is still not out of dodge
ปึ๊บ
just yet. Takes the
แล้ว
claw.
ดูแล้วอันตีถอยหลังแม่งเลยแล้วกัน
Backwards for some reason. And now perfect is
รู
the
เลอร์
target.
ไปเลยครับผม
But now Ruler's
บาลอน
gonna
ปะเนี่ย
get punished for that
บีดีมาแล้ว
initial mistake.
ฉีดครับผม
KT
จู
are closing in. The death
จิ้ว
ray
จิ้วจิ้ว
doesn't
จิ้ว
do
จิ้ว
it, but the Q does. And BDD may have just
เฮ้ย
opened
หมา
the
หมา
door to a Baron attempt for KT.
A critical
ต้องได้อันนี้ต้องได้อันนี้
error
ถ้าได้อันนี้
from
มัน
Ruler. The feather
บาลอน
storm in the
อาจจะ
wrong
แย่งได้
direction allows KT to chase, to approach with no threat,
BD
and they manage to clean up the kills. And now look
ฉีด
for
หมา
Canyon. If they can deny him, the
หมา
Baron
แม่ง
is
น่ารำ
free.
คาญจัดเลยว่ะ
They get some good pokes
ทำไม
out
มึ
of
ง
BDD.
ตายยาก
Is
จังวะหมา
it enough to ward them away from the objective? Or are they just going to TP
เอา
back
ไม่
in
ได้
with
ครับ
full health
บาลอน
bars? That's the question.
เลือดโลเกินแล้วหมามันยังอยู่ด้วย
All right, let's have a look at this fight one more time.
So Keen's on
โอ้
the
โชวี่
cusp
อัน
of
ติ
Mega
ตัวเอง
Nab,
ครับแล้วก็ทำ
and
ให้
he's ready to go with this.
ทัวร์นาเมนต์ไซบาลอน
Initially
ตรง
get a
นี้
Cataclysm
ดูโล
onto
คีน
Chovy,
พยายาม
feels
แล้ว
like a weird target priority. Keen jumps in and then just gets
แต่ว่า
shredded
เอมมิง
down.
ครับผมแดช
After
มา
he
ทัน
goes for the ultimate, he gets focused down after that.
มีสเตอร์แลก
Chovy
ก็
then
นี่ขนาดไม่มีอาเดนนะ
buying
เนี่ย
a ton of time here basically allows him to pull off a heist because he can disengage out of this with his flash. But then Ruler here ends up ulting the wrong way. I think he was just trying to respond to potential flash polymorph from effort. But the fact it's the wrong way means look at the positioning.
ไม่รู้เลยพลาดช็อตนี้นะ
They're running forward to where the
อันติ
feathers
ถอย
would
หลัง
have
เฉยเลย
been. They cannot do that if those feathers are there. And the end result is Gen.G losing out in the fight.
Now KT
เมื่อ
haven't
กี้พี่กิ๊บ
started the
เห่า
Baron
เหรอ
just yet.
เสียง
They do
ส
have
กินในเกม
positional
ครับ
advantage around
ไอ้
the
แคนยอนใช้สกินเนี้ยมันจะมีเสียงอยู่
That ward is going to get swept. Mortal Reminder is now completed. Third item done for Ruler. But there is... Oh man, we are so close to an Infinity Edge, and I think Aiming has it, as he is going to go back to base now. So there is the IE. 3 items apiece for both of our carries, but it does feel like Aiming does so much if he can ever actually hit
เรา
squishies.
ไปบ้านนุกแล้วพี่ทำเสียงหมาปักกันนะแล้วแบบเห่าปุ๊บหมามาหามามองอะ
So it feels very good to
แบบ
be
เหมือนมัน
Yunara
แบบ
at
เฮ้ย
this point in the game.
หมาไอ
I do
หมาปัก
feel
เหมือน
like
กันนะแล้วมัน
Aiming
แบบ
has
เฮ้ย
been probably one of
เฮ้ย
our
มี
most,
เพื่อนแล้ว
if
เหรอวะ
not the most successful Yunara players
หามามอง
this season.
Yep, definitely remember that pentakill he got earlier in the season.
Yeah. So certainly in a great position to carry this one. 1,000 gold
โอ้
still
แล้ว
the
เอมมิง
lead
มา
for
แล้ว
Gen.G
อาเดน
though.
มาแล้วเอมมิง ไออีโอ้โห power spike สุดยอด อันติเมต
2 dragons apiece, so Soul is miles away. And both teams, I mean, Azaya is always going to be strong, but you're under threat because the Jarvan, the Neferi is very strong, but might have a tough time in this composition. But this Victor and Yunara are just scaling up to be absolute monsters.
3 items now completed for BDD as well. Going to be an interesting fight.
It's also a very bulky Victor with the blood ladders and the rocket belt.
Yeah, just like a lot of, I guess, extra, like, fun defensive stats. And the claw going to come on through there, but Cuz able to walk himself out of the way, so it's not going to be a target.
Extra fun defensive stats.
You know, it's just, it still does a positive offensive thing, but you just get some for fun defensive stats. It's not a defensive item, it's got some fun defensive stats. as Canyon's gonna have to play some
โอ้โห
fun
เจ็บอยู่นะ
defense
เคิร์
and
ส
get out of there, and does do that. Goes up into the sky and escapes.
So what you're saying is a pure tank item is not fun.
No, it's not. Would you say that a pure tank item is fun?
I think it depends on the tank item. Heartsteel is definitely fun.
Would you say that's a pure defensive item?
No.
Exactly. Sunfire Cape, bit more fun. Does also do some damage.
Oh my god, Canyon.
Canyon ults in on top of Cuz. Perfect is there, trying to play some defense, but Cuz has to flag and drag his way out.
ถ้าได้
And
เคิร์ส
takes
ตะ
the
กี้
wrong
ได้
way
โอ้โห
around these
ไฟฟ้า
wolves
ช็อต
of
รูเลอร์
Rullet.
อยู่
Gets arcane stormed.
คีนสู้กับ
As
เพอร์เฟก
BDD
อยู่ครับตรงนั้น
looking to chase them down, gets the dash
ดี
down
ไล่อยู่
towards Chovy using his own
น่ากลัว
technology
มาก
against him. Such a Victor thing to do.
ใครจะได้โซ
They're
พอย
gonna
ต์
reset and give up a lot of control off
โอ้
the
โหเดี๋ยวนะ
map.
วีดี
I
อัน
think
ติไป
maybe
แล้ว
KT
แล้ว
should be in
คิน
and not
กับ
star the Baron, but
โช
get
วี่ยังไม่ได้อันติ
control of
เลย
the
ครับ
area. A
เจน
reset
จี
comes through.
แชนติแค่แคนยอนนะ
Maybe go out of woods.
แบบนี้ไฟ
Actually,
น่าจะ
dragging
ดี
up
กว่า
30
หรือเปล่า
seconds, so that'll be
ไฟ
the
ดี
prize
กว่า
for now. But
แต่30 วิ
a tense game at this
It is.
point.
All right,
เป็น
only
เกม
1,000
ที่
gold in it. And at
ค่อน
30
ข้าง
minutes,
จะ
that
สู
means
สี
less
มาก
than
เกม
nothing.
นี้
Canyon is going to move up and get some vision in the Baron area before they move over to Dragon. KT make their way straight there. And it does put things in a little bit of a delicate spot since KT haven't gotten any
แพทหน้าเนิร์ฟนะครับไอตัววาร์ปแล้วได้โล่ขาว
looking
แบบ
towards
30 วิอ่ะมันเนิร์ฟเหลือ 10 วิละ
Dragon. Gen.G
ก็คือถ้าวาร์ปลงมาแต่ว่ามันจะได้เพิ่มมา 5% คือถ้าวาร์ปลงมาโล่ขาวจะเยอะแต่ว่า
The vision is for
10 วิก็หมดแล้ว
With that control ward down.
อันนี้มันนานเกิน
They also have
30 วิ
the
อ่ะ
irremovable, vision here from the Rift Scholar that now just dissipates.
Chovy's just clearing
แต่
out
จริง
mid
พี่ว่า
lane.
น่าสัก
Touch
น่า
keeps a
15 วิ
little
กำลัง
late.
ดีครึ่งหนึ่ง
They do start this one up as Canyon bounces over that wall. Keen with a great Narbar position right now.
ชูวิดันกลางแล้วเดี๋ยวอ้อม
Chovy's
มา
still biding his time, hasn't committed to moving on over.
คีนตำแหน่ง
As BDD,
น่ารำคาญมาก
be careful,
ดี
he's
ๆโป๊ก
gone
ได้แค่ทาง
rogue.
เดียวแม่งเลยต้องพยายามแบบ
Rest of Gen.G now
แย่
holding
ไปอีก
onto the
ด้านหนึ่ง
bridge, do not let it reset
Perfect
us
กดอัน
now.
ติฮะ
The predominance
ไล่ดูโล่
here from Perfect as he gets into the back of the pit. Duro going to be his target, at least for the moment.
เคิร์ส
As Keen was looking to try and
ไม่
make his
ได้
way
ครับ
in,
ผม
but
ว่ามัน
there
เป็น
is
ซา
a
ย่า
break
บอกแล้ว
secured.
ขัง
That is
โชวี่
not
โชวี่
going over
นาฬิกา
to
นะ
flash out of his own
โชวี่โดน
tangles
เฮ้ย
because
โชวี่กลายเป็นตีฟิว
Here we
โอ้ย
flash
โช
forward, and he was free hitting. He gets ulted
โอ้ย
by Keen.
มาแล้ว
That just
ดูโล่
dashes
โอ้
away,
สวยจัด
flashes
เจน
out,
จี
but it's Alulu that goes down first, aiming, trying his best to get this damage
เอ็มมิง
down as
ตี
he
อยู่
dashes in on
โอ้
top
ไม่
of
ไหว
Keen,
ว่าโช
and
วี่
then
เล็ง
is
อยู่อ้า
immediately punished by Chovy.
ว
The double kill for the Lysandra, and KT, they still have BDD. There's still a lot of damage, but they've only
มาแล้ว
got
หมา
one kill so far in this fight. Canyon goes up
ไม่ได้
into
วะ
the sky, and Perfect and BDD not enough to take him down.
Such a precarious fight there. Felt like Cuz's
ไม่มีดาเมจฆ่าโชวี่เมื่อกี้โดนกาวิตี้ฟิลแล้ว
Chovy and Keen, but it just wasn't quite enough. Their focus
แต่
was
โช
so
วี่ก็แค่
heavily on
แบบมันดาเมจ
aiming,
ไม่ทันโชวี่
not
ก็
allowing him to
อัน
play
ติ
the
ตัวเองนาฬิกา
game.
อะไรก็ได้อะ
And Gen.G able to not only secure the dragon, but get a convincing fight win as well.
เล่นเนียนกิ๊กเลยว่ะ
I was kind of feeling like KT were positioned to make that front to back work, but let's have a look why it didn't.
Yeah, so it's really funny how it pans out because Chovy goes in after the polymorph has already been burned, Keen as well, but they just get both cataclysmed here and end up trapped in with
Keen
the...
jumped into it.
แล้วแคนยอนแกรอดได้ยังไงวะนะ
dip away in low HP, but we see the quickness from Duro, occupying time allows Chovy to move up, then Keen gets some damage down. It's just the juggling of health here that allows Ruler to push forward and finish off the enemy AD carry. Their focus point was so much on aiming, and they successfully take him down, but you look at how low the
แล้ว
health
แกไป
bars
ฟาร์ม
are.
มาแล้วแก
Things
กลับมา
could
มี
have
เลือ
gone
ด
a
นะ
little bit
แคนยอน
different, and that could have been KT's team fight, you gotta think for sure.
โอ้
Let's see whether
เจน
KT
จี
can
จากไม่
make
ได้มัง
something
กรเลย
happen
ได้มังกร
now,
3 ตัว
as
ร
they
วด
have
ครับ
moved
แล้ว
to
เป็น
a
มังกร
pretty
ดิน
considerable deficit, and that is Mountain Soul Point for Gen.G with triple mountains already stacked up. I mean, if you thought that they didn't have a tank before, which is something that I actually said, I think everyone's a tank now.
Yeah, I mean,
so never mind.
Canyon has a QSS and 105 magic resist.
My
The
God.
mountains plus that. 131 armor with just plated steel caps. The worst is when you look at the 80 carry resist. That's when it always gets...
Especially when you look at them side by side.
Yeah.
That's kind of ridiculous.
So
เอ
definitely
มิง
getting
ต้อง
a
รี
lot
บ
of
มี
value. Duro also buying the new buff.
ไอ LDR หรือว่า Mortal Reminder
As is Zeke's already.
ไม่งั้นลำบากแน่ เพราะว่ามันมังกรดิน3แล้วอ่ะเกาะมันเยอะเว้ย
Claw your way out of almost any situation.
And right now, KT in a delicate spot because aiming no flash. Ruler still has his. You can't just cataclysm the enemy Zaya. and aiming can definitely be a focus target.
He doesn't quite have his last Whisper item completed just yet.
Yeah, Ruler with 133 armor with just plated steel caps is a little bit insane.
Yeah, Chovy with 160 as well himself, so feeling pretty good about that one. Canyon gonna look to try and start up this Baron by the looks of things. And yeah, there are feathers being thrown at it as we
เลือดลดแบบไวจัดเพราะรูเลอร์ซาย่าผมเฮ้ยเพอร์เฟกต์โดนอันตีไปแล้วป่ะนะเอาใหม่โดนแค่ตันธรรมดาเอง
Will be able to get himself out of there. Effort is moving
จะจับ
over.
โชวี่เหรอ
Does have the polymorph in hand.
เฮ้ย
Let's see
ทำได้ว่ะจัก
forward.
เฮ้ย effort มึงทักทางเถอะ
But he can buy so much time for himself. Frozen Tomb does come down, and there's a ring of
โอ้ย
frost
อั
as
นตี
well.
สวยอยู่ effort เพอร์เฟกต์เข้าไป sacrifice แล้ว
Perfect desperation as he
GG
dives
ครับผม
forward, and now Keen takes matters into his own hands. A double for Ruler, who's yelling penta, penta, penta. He'll take the triple, at least for now, as PDD and Effort need to escape to try and deny all of them being
ใส่
on
รอง
the
เท้าแล้ว
floor.
เคิร์ส
As Gen.G looking for another date at MSI and
พอ
another
ใจ
date
แล้วครับ
with T1 in order to get there.
And KT think they've caught Chovy, but he's able to buy so much time in this situation. Perfect trying to get on top of him. Not the easiest thing to do as a Renekton.
โชวี่โคตรแบกอะแกเล่นแบบว่า
And it's just buying so much time in this situation. Doesn't use his stasis early.
แกฟอร์ดก็ไม่รู้จะไปทางไหน
Everyone else to get in range. Self-ult into Rocket Belt. Even had the Zonya still, but dashes away. And the other thing that's huge here is even though the wild growth interrupted the Neferi, Duro's so patient with his grand entrance. He waits until aiming dashes and then instantly locks him down. The follow-up is there from Keen. And aiming goes down once again. Gen.G, 8,000 gold lead and so close to taking that final Nexus of the day.
Yeah, and this was looking so incredibly close. It was down
ไม่
to the
น่าเลย
wire.
ดี
Now
ไม่น่าออก
it's
ไอ้
anything but
บัตรเล
that.
เตอร์เลย
This
ที่
is
ว่า
an
หน้าออกแบบ voice staff
ridiculous
แล้วก็
lead that Gen.G
เดด
built up for
ไม่
themselves.
เอา
The
เด
Rebel
ดแคป
Bound
ไปเล
power
ย
play is only at 1,500 for the moment. They've
มัน
wiped
แบบ
out
ดาเมจมัน
every
ขาดอะดี
single
อะ
outer turret. And the inhibitors are the only things still defended so far for KT, who are now circling the drain. Canyon going to be taking down this dragon, and that is going to be Mountain Soul with quad Mountain Drakes. And I'd say that is
ทีมชาติควรเอาเฟเกอร์หลักโชวี่สำรองแล้วเวลาแข่งให้โชวี่
It's
ลง
pretty nice. It's
พี่ว่าเซกาตอนนี้เถื่อนมาก
for sure. It's going to make it very hard for KT, who already has such a deficit, to cut through these members of Gen.G.
All right, looking for the angle there. There's a wild
ได้
growth
ปะ
on
โอ้
to
โห
Ruler, who gets the protection, and KT just do not have the options. Chovy turns it into an engage as he self-ults onto the turret. They take down Effort, but Duro's dead as well. There
เฮ้ย
goes
เฮ้ย
Ruler, and now it's Aiming's turn to try and get this
ก็
down.
มี
It's now
มีอยู่
BD
อยู่
getting the work done
เอมิง
himself.
เอ
As he
มิง
can walk through the base gate, the death rate
เอ
there
มิง
as well as Keen will go down, and
โอ้โหโชวี่เกือบตาย
Perfect
นะ
just slinks away. Only Canyon and Chovy left alive, and maybe we spoke a little too soon about KT's
ยังดิ้น
demise.
อยู่ปลา
And
ยังดิ้น
Gen.G think they found the turnaround play after they go for the engage onto Ruler, but Ruler just steps up a little
Dead
too
cap ใกล้ได้แล้ว
far, and they
BDD
end up getting punished in that situation. KT able to at least buy some time on this game. We'll see the replay. This was a full commit here to try and make sure Ruler cannot press R. The flag and drag into flash and then the immediate polymorph, but they're able to peel for him. But then they play so far forward. Ruler steps up and ends up getting clipped there by the laser into the follow-up from Cuz to take him down. And without that Zaya, some of the damage feels a bit lacking for Gen.G. You see Canyon nearly takes down Perfect, but it would only be into the GA anyway, but he does just back off.
มาแล้วครับ LDR ครับผม
As we jump back to
เคส
live,
เอ่
but
อ
he's
เอ
going to
มิ
be
ง
all right as now Chovy looking for an angle towards BDD. BDD is very frightening though, 4-1 and 5, and almost
แต่
has
ก็
his
แอบ
death
คิด
cap
ว่าแบบ
completed
ทำ
for
ไม
item number
น่าจะ
4.
ออกไอ้นั่น
One
มากก
thing
ว่า
of
นะ
that last
Mortal
fight, even though
Reminder
it stopped the Baron push from Gen.G and it bought some time, it didn't drastically change the state of the game. Still a Mountain Soul of Gen.G, still 8,000 gold lead. And Ruler, Chovy, and Canyon
คือ
still
ฝั่ง
have
ของ
flashes.
KT
We
ไม่
have
มีใครตัด
no
ทิวสัก
flashes
คน
outside of KT. So it's going to be a delicate position
สัก
because
คนเดียว
we've seen how laser focused Gen.G are on punishing aiming. When he doesn't have that flash available, it's going to be an even easier target. And you
มาแล้วครับ
can't
Dead
just
Cap
Cataclysm Ruler's response.
ต่อไปชิ้นต่อไปก็น่าจะเป็นแบบ ถ้าจะเอาแรงก็คอสมิกได้ไปเลย แต่ถ้าเกิดแบบว่าอยากจะเอาชีวิตรอดก็นาฬิกา
And obviously the series as well.
แต่คอสมิกไดก็ทำให้แบบโพซิชันดีนะ
If you want to go to Daejeon, and this is what you have to overcome. KT, they lose this, they are just going straight home. No more MSI prospects, no date with T1 tomorrow. Gen.G, they'll be the ones that have to contend with that one as Chovy actually goes in, finds a dash cannon there, Frozen 2 on a cuz, does get the kills. Will be able to get himself out of there, but the Frozen 2 is on a pretty short cooldown this stage of the game.
Yeah, Chovy's not even going the Imperial Mandate as well, so not going to be as short a cooldown as it could be otherwise, but still not the longest. Got that Void Staff and the Zhonya's now.
Yeah.
They're looking for him.
All right, let's see whether they can get on top of him. There's the Cataclysm. Ring of Frost goes down, and yeah, it's a Lissandra. They do get the flash.
It's a good trade for KT.
โชวี่ตะกี้กด enter ชิป enter แล้วพิมพ์555 XD
Pretty short cooldown. It's something. You're eating away at these resources from the opposite side, and even though Lissandra has a lot of built-in safety, the flash can be used to combo so well with her other abilities. KT are in a dire spot. Anything they can burn before this next Baron, next Elder Dragon, will be a big boon, making it a lot easier. Got BDD's also completed Rabbit.
ไอ้พุ่มนี้กูขอยึดได้ป่าวะเคิร์ดบอก
Very much online.
กูขอร้องละกูไหว้ละ
Now has another needlessly large rod as well.
กูพยายามยึดนี่ไอ้พุ่มนี้มานานแล้วกูกวาดแบบเหมือนมันไม่ได้ถือแบบไอ้นั่นหรอหอกแล้วเหมือนมันถือไม้กวาดอะกวาดอยู่ในพุ่มนี้นานมากแล้วกวาดอยู่นั่นอะ
Even though there's a mountain soul, I do still feel like KT might
จะ
have the
ออกมาเอลเดอร์
opportunity
ยังไง
to bring
แต่ว่า
this
เคทีทำมาแล้วนะครับ
right if you can get
มันเห็นมันอย่างเงี้ยแล้วมันก็แบบบูดออกมาแล้วมันก็มาแย่งเอลเดอร์เขาแต่ว่านี่มันเป็นซาย่าไงเจนจีดามาเผื่อแล้วว่าซาย่าเนี่ยยังไงนะฮาดาดูเซตกับแคนยอนได้แน่นอนฮาดาดูเซต
And don't get me wrong, Gen.G are very far ahead, but a misexecution, a misstep, not killing a primary target, there's a lot of damage from KT that can be turned around, because even though they're really far behind in gold, the carries have items. It's 5 items for aiming, 4.5 for BDD. They have the damage.
แต่ยังไม่เหมือนGen.Gเป็นทีมที่แบบทุกคนแบบเหมือนแบบจิตเข้าไปในเกมแล้วอะไม่มือเลยอะไม่มีการหลุดอะไรแบบงงๆทุกอย่างเดินเป็นระเบียบเรียบร้อยเอาเพื่อนตีเรียบร้อยไล่ครับผมเลือดมันเดี๋ยวนั้นเลือดมันต้องถอยแล้ว
As Chovy gets that claw forward but does not follow it in.
แบบนี้บอลลอนครับผมดีๆต้องรีบกลับบ้านแล้วทีพีลงมา
exactly unhappy with how this one went. Ult for ult is going to be the trade. Canyons
และอันตีไปเมื่อกี้แม่งไม่เข้าเลยดีๆแบบว่าเกาหัวมังกรดินมาแล้วแต่ว่าไม่น่าเสียบอลลอนครับ
Perfect gets in there and there is the Baron. It's just gone.
ฉีดไม่เข้าดูโล่อะไรมันแบบช่วยด้วยวิเตอร์ฉีดใครไม่เข้าแล้วแต่ดูโล่มันมีโล่ด้วยแหละช่วยด้วยเคยจะตายไอ้จ้าไม่มีอันติเพอร์เฟกต์ถอยเร็วทางนั้นช่วยด้วยชิปแปกแล้วแค่นี้ตรงนี้กลับบ้านยังไงมันล้อมแล้วมันล้อมจับดีทำทุกอย่างต้องสู้เอาดูโล่ตายวงใหญ่เว้งช้าไปหน่อยสองคนตายครับผมเคทียังไม่มีใครตาย
BDD walking forward looking for ruler here.
Oh my goodness, this is so precarious. This is so awkward because
Gen.G
have just kind of obliterated the base. And so KT they need someone to defend, but they also need to take this
Elder อยู่ใช่ Elder ยิงก่อนมันได้ Elder อีกแล้ว KT
should be able to defend this top
Holy shit
2 down it's not good but it's
มันมาแล้ว มันเอาเอลเดอร์อีกแล้วเงินตาม 8,000 แต่ได้เอลเดอร์
Can they make use of it in this next 2 minutes 20? There was the big question. This was such a delicate fight, and it was just disrespect of the Victor's damage and the Chaos Storm because they burn a lot of tools trying to take out Perfect, and if they get him into his GA, he's a sitting dub. The Blast Cone from Cuz, I didn't quite see even second time around how that happened, but hilarious.
Yeah.
The Blast Cone shenanigans here. BDD gets so much damage
ตรงนี้เคิร์สแบกจริงฟลิมขังแล้วแบบดูโล่แบบสตาร์ทเครื่องแต่แบบว่า
goes down
พี่รถ
before
เป็นไรอ่ะ
using
แม่ง
anything,
ไป
and
ไม่ได้
Will
เมื่อกี้
have to run
ดูโล
away
อ่ะ
from the sheer size of it.
Yeah, the double reset actually kind of gigantic. Poor BDD able to really boost up that.
มีเอลเดอร์ครับ KT
So
Chaos Storm, formerly now Arcane Storm.
this is one problem, is that KT have Elder Dragon and absolutely win a fight if they take one
คุณ
right
จะ
now.
Yes.
คุณจะมาโชว์ฟอร์มอะไร KT คุณมันกินเงินมันตามขนาดนี้แล้ว
Yeah, it feels like an absolute stalemate, and we're just going to have to wait until the next Baron and Elder are up and available.
Yeah, it has bought time for KT, but Gen.G have that permanent buff of the Mountain Dragon, which they feel very good about.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of wave clear that they can do pretty safely
อุ้ย
with
ต้อง
Zaya
ระวัง
and
นะ
Lissandra.
อุ้ยไม่ยังไม่ขังครับ
Might have to give up this tier 2. I think that's
เฮ้ย
going to be the
เจอ Keen
cost in this situation, but it's not exactly a huge. Oh, Keen
Yeah.
might be more of a cost.
He
Keen
is going to be
ต้อง
put
แฟด
into
อ
the
อกครับ
Cataclysm, has to
ไม่งั้
flash
นโดน
get
เห่า
himself out of the way as there is the claw from
ไม่มี
Chovy,
ทาง
but
ไม่
he
มี
ain't
ทาง
taking that one. That is a little bit too scary as BDD breaks that
49 วิ
crystalline
คุณ
overgrowth, does a
KT
lot of damage there
เจนจีเขาไม่
to
มา
the turret.
ตายอะไรแบบนี้หรอก
Flash going down seems bad for Gen.G. It actually distracted KT away from the tower, and it meant they have to wait for another wave. It's just buying
น่าแค่
more
ป้อม
and
เว้
more
ย
time. The tower's going to go down anyway.
That's it
They are
30 วิ
stalling KT out as well as they can.
ไม่มี
The
ทาง
power buff is gone.
เจนจีไม่มีทางสู้ตอนนี้ ชิวๆที่ป้อม
But it's 30 seconds. There's just one more wave
ซ้ายกับ
coming in
ขวา
that KT
กำลัง
have
ดัน
to
เอาแล้ว
play
เพอร์เฟก
with
ต์
that it looks
นะ
like
คา
they're
หวา
not
นะ
even
คุณ
gonna
เพอร์เฟ
sit
กต์
around and wait for that.
อุ้ย
The Elder has
ยัง
been
ยัง
timed
เหลือ
out.
20 วิยัง
The
ยัง
gold
ใจเย็นอยู่
is posed by 1,000, and KT, despite getting that all-powerful buff, haven't been able to translate.
อ้าวแล้ว BDD
Oh no!
อ๋อ BDD แฟตติด
Oh, flash from BDD! He's not able to get over
เฮ้ยแต่ว่า
the wall,
ตี
but
อยู่
he's still able to do
เอลเดอร์
a lot of
5 วิ
damage before he dies.
โอ้โชวีโชวีหมดแล้วเอลเดอร์หมดแล้วโอ้โช
He
วี
goes golden as well, and now Duro gets in
และ
there, but
เป็น
everyone does
เจน
make
จีครับ
themselves
เจอกับทีวัน
scared
แน่นอนครับพรุ่งนี้
away, but the Lulu not gonna
โอ้
survive. Aiming trying to find this one as he does
โอ้ย
kill
ทาม
the
มิ่ง
doggo,
คือ
but now everyone else
โอ้โห
is
BDD แฟตติด
dead, and Aiming will be able to chase down
จะไป
Duro
ไหน
potentially, but Ruler will be there with the damage.
จะไปไหนเลยน้อง
Aiming just realizing that he has to
เมื่อ
try
กี้ใคร
and
อะ
do this
ตีใคร ขออีกดูอีกรอบได้ไหม
himself. Chovy teleports to the enemy base, and he's going to look to finish this one once and for all. A 3-0 for Gen.G off the back of this man in the mid lane. Oh my goodness, Gen.G, what a performance in the end there. They may have lost the Elder Drake,
3-0
but
บูนสวัสดิ์
Chovy
เลย
knew
ว่ะ
how to take it back. And that's a 3-0 domination from Gen.G here today.
โอ้แล้วโชวี่มาฟอร์มแบบคืนฟอร์มตอนอะไรรู้ป่ะก่อนเจอทีวันอีก
The end result is a
มึงไปคืน
convincing
ฟอร์มตอนหลังไม่ได้เหรอ
Gen.G. The
ตอนแบบ
clutch factor
EWC อะไรอย่างเงี้ย
was there from this team.
มาคืนฟอร์มก่อนที่จะเจอทีวันได้ไงวะ
Absolutely on fire
แล้ว
when it
เค
came
ที
to this
ช่วยรับ
series.
คมกันไปครับ
Yeah, and I
โอ้
have to
โห ไม่ได้สัก
say,
เกมเลยแบบนี้
even though there was no like Imperial mandate, there's none of the new
พรุ่ง
tech
นี้
for
ครับก็จะเป็น
Lissandra. The way
เรียกว่า
Chovy
T1
played
ครับ
out
air
those
time
last
เน้น
few
ๆเลยนะ
teamfights was absolutely
ก็
magical.
คือเมื่อวาน 4 เกมวันนี้พรุ่งนี้ก็อาจจะมี 5 เกมหรือเปล่า
Game 3 started.
โบ 5 พรุ่งนี้
Oh man, and so Gen.G will be making it that El Clasico against T1 tomorrow. All roads do seem to lead to Gen.G versus T1 in the end. So what we kind of thought was going to happen at Worlds last year did not, as KT were able to do it that time. This time around, though,
มีทหารมาดูด้วยครับผ
Gen.G
ม
had their number.
I think it's a bit tragic for KT given how strong they started the regular season of the LCK and for how long they were our top team, for them to not even be top 3 when it comes to the Road to MSI runnings. And we'll get to see what Gen.G sign here alongside their names with a lot of nice messages from HLE. But
Yeah, Keen deciding that instead he's just going to write Keen.
I think it makes sense because they haven't made the full journey yet.
Nope.
So maybe just getting the signatures down first and foremost, the messages.
หนีค่ายมาดูแข่ง
Yeah, Ruler doing the same thing, and maybe I actually like that as the idea. If they are going to be going to Daejeon
มี
tomorrow,
เหรอครับ มี
then they can
มี
add
LPL
a
เหรอ
little
ขอดูหน่อย
message there. And I don't think you want to be celebrating just yet, as Arnold just walked past, and I imagine he's not ready to celebrate until tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you still have a series, and despite T1 having struggles against HLE, they always come to play when it's against Gen.G. I think the one thing I'll say for Gen.G, 3-0 means you don't have to show your cards too much.
Yeah.
In terms of what's been on display.
And they kind of showed all of the cards that we saw yesterday. You know, like the first game was basically game one from yesterday.
They just copied their cards.
Yeah, they kind of did. Like the Lissandra was tech that Faker had already brought out, so it's kind of already looking shared from the get-go.
It felt like the game.